Evening, we're going to start this meeting. Welcome to the Zoning Board of Goffstown. The Goffstown Zoning Board is an elected board of 5 members and up to 5 appointed alternates. Currently, the board has 5 members and 1 alternate. If anyone is interested in serving on the ZBA, please contact Town Hall Zoning Office or let us know this evening. We're always looking for new volunteers. The board has posted an agenda for each meeting and intends to follow the items in order. The board will open the public hearing on an application to receive testimony from applicants, abutters, and affected parties and ask questions about the request. The public hearing will then be closed, and the board will enter into deliberation session to discuss the merits of that request. At that time, we will not accept any conversation with the public when we're deliberating. For each application, the board will decide to approve with conditions, deny, or continue to a later meeting. You are welcome to watch deliberations this evening, or you can contact the town hall and get the results. For an applicant's request to be approved, there must be an affirmative vote of at least 3 members. An applicant can request a continuance if there is not a full member board to act on the application. And as you can see, we're only 4 board members this evening. If you are aggrieved by the decision made by the ZBA tonight, you have the right to appeal to the Superior Court. However, before appealing to the Superior Court, you must request a rehearing with this board to preserve your right to an appeal. Rehearing requests must be filled within 30 days of the decision and state all reasons why the decision was unlawful or unreasonable. Failure to request a rehearing may forfeit your ability to appeal to the Superior Court. Please, everybody silence your phones, and if you could stand to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to start with board introductions. Alan, we can start with you.
Alan Jaden, member.
Gayla Breck, member and recording secretary.
Denise Langley, vice chair, acting as chair this evening.
Jason Cody, member.
Let's start out with the minutes from the last meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review? If so, do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Denied. Okay, approved. 4-0. Okay. I just want to talk, the first business that we have was somebody that applied for a zoning, Sarah Johnson applicant, the Smith Family Trust. They were seeking a variance to build a single-family home. They have withdrawn. Do I have a motion to deny without prejudice?
Motion to deny without prejudice.
Second.
Alan?
Is this the second time?
They did not come to the last meeting, I believe.
And they didn't come to this one?
No, they requested to withdraw this application.
Okay. In writing?
Pardon me?
In writing?
Well, all I have here is that they asked to be withdrawn.
Okay.
I'm sure staff has the,
Excuse me?
I would guess that staff has the communication somewhere in the files.
Any other discussion?
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Abstentions? Denied? Alan denied. Okay, the first case, Circle National Club. Applicant's owners are seeking a variance to expand the use of its property as a private membership, fraternal, or social organization or club into a residential 2 portion of Lot 3, and is requesting a variance from Section 3.11.b to allow the use for the residential 2 portion of the property as part of functions, including outdoor music and entertainment. This is an accessory commercial use to the abutting private membership, fraternal or social organization or club. That's a mouthful. Which is permitted by right in the commercial district located at 550 Rockland Ave, map 15, Lot 2, zoned commercial. The expanded use is permitted by right on the commercial portion of Lot 3, subject to site plan approval. A variance is required because the use of private membership fraternal or social organization or club is not permitted on the residential 2 portion of Lot 3, per section 3.11.b of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. This property is located on Woodbine Street, a town unmaintained paper road, map 15, lot 3, zoned split commercial residential. Do we have somebody here to present this?
I'll make a motion to find the
Thank you.
application has no regional impact.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Could you state your name, please, for the record?
Yes, good evening. Attorney Patrick Lorman, Four Circle National Club.
Sure.
What's your last name again, please?
Lorman, L-O-R-M-A-N.
L-O-R?
Yes.
Okay, go right ahead. You can start your presentation, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just, since we've already done the preliminaries here, I'd like to go right into the statutory factors. Specifically, first, the granting of the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because, first, I note the applicant has been a pillar of the community for 40-plus years, engaged in charity work, has worked with the town on several previous matters, and always been in compliance. Most recently, they worked with the town to obtain additional parking per the town's request. Previously, there was an application of this board that was withdrawn that was made by the former owner. The applicant now owns the subject property, that being the map 15, lot 3.
Okay.
And also lot 4, although we're not seeking any variance for use of the lot 4 this time. Due to zoning restrictions, the applicant is not able to make use of the property in the manner that they wish, specifically to generate income, hold events, most of that income going to charity. The remaining portion of the property, as was noted, is zoned commercial, and it would be permissible to engage in the use of the private membership fraternal social organization, excuse me. Here the spirit of the ordinance is observed because the intent of the ordinance from which the applicant seeks relief is to restrict the use of a building structure for the purposes permitted in the base table of principal uses. The applicant's not looking to build any specific structure on this portion of the property. This is merely a variance for use to encourage appropriate coordinated uses of land and allow for planned, orderly, timely, and beneficial growth and development as envisioned by the master plan. Here, the spirit of the zone property will be contiguous with the rest of the property, while inappropriate use of the lot extend commercial uses for the applicant's purposes of outdoor entertainment. Next, to be granting the variance would do substantial justice because variance would allow the use of the residential 2 zoned portion of the property as part of the applicant's core functions, including outdoor music, entertainment, and substantial justice will be done by allowing really the least intensive use of this property. So again, I would stress to the board, no erection of any building of any kind is being sought here, no building permit. The property additionally is not fit for residential development due to access issues. Half of the lot with no frontage would not be developable for any residential use without a significant further deviation from the zoning ordinance. For the value of the surrounding property will not be diminished because the variance allowing for expansion of use into the residential zone comports with the ordinance's purpose to conserve property values by preventing harmful encroachment of incompatible uses, and by providing for the control and regulation of those uses which adversely affect the character, development, and value of the property. Allowing half of the lot to be used as a residential zone is incompatible with the existing use of the rest of the property. And additionally, there's still the vacant buffer of the map 15 lot 4 that I mentioned that won't be subject to any of these uses.
Which you also own.
That's correct, the applicant also owns lot 4. And finally, the literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship here, because owing to the special conditions of the property distinguished from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in the unnecessary hardship because there's no fair and substantial relationship between the ordinance provision and the specific application of this provision of the property. Because of the split zoning of the property, half commercial and half residential, it's an unnecessary hardship to deny the applicant full and productive use of the property based upon that arbitrary zoning. Because of the split zoning, the applicant will be prohibited from any meaningful use of that half of the property that's zoned R2 as currently constituted. And 2, the proposed use is a reasonable one because the encroachment of incompatible uses can be mitigated by this board, as the board has already noted, through the imposition of conditions upon the granting of the variance, such as fencing, vegetative barriers, time, notice restrictions. And the only other things that I would note for the board is the applicant's exercise continuous use of the subject property, map 15, lot 3, since 1994. Since 2011, outdoor music has been played at the club during the summer months. The club has applied in the past and received a permit for the performances as recently as 2021. The applicants maintained outdoor seating and outdoor use of the property since 1994. And as was previously noted, the applicant owns lot 4, and that'll be maintained as a buffer. And lastly, the applicant will comply, or has complied and will comply with all requirements placed upon it by the town as related to hopefully permitted use of this lot.
Okay. Any questions from anybody on the board at this time?
How far from the residential homes are you? Or this lot?
You said how far?
Yeah.
They abut the rear portion of this lot.
Of the lot you're looking to build upon or use?
Utilize, yes.
Okay. In your criteria for the hardship,
Yes.
what are the special conditions of the property that make it different from the others in the neighborhood?
Well, as I said, specifically, it abuts, or excuse me, it is split zoned. The remainder of that neighborhood, I believe, is residential 2 zone. Specifically, this would be the least intensive use of that property, and the property really is not fit for development at its current location. So there really is no other permitted potential use here, which makes it unique from the other lots in the area that have frontage or other access.
How big is that portion?
How big is the, approximately, it would be approximately 77, it's the rear 77.81 foot portion. And obviously running the full width of the property, which is 111.9 feet, sorry.
Okay, so what is that in acreage? Half an acre, quarter of an acre, 1,000 square feet? What's the size, not just the dimensions?
Would have to get back on that, I don't know
Okay.
off the top of my head.
Is the website still down?
Yeah.
pull
Yeah.
up that map.
No, it's down.
I can
What
look
are
at
you
it.
trying to
Google
find out?
Earth.
What was the question?
Do you have a tax card?
I'm trying to
You have a tax card.
process the hardship in my head with the size of the lot.
All
I
right,
have the,
so
I have a picture
the
of it.
answer to that question might be, how do we treat split zones when the site is zoned in two different zones? Is it the larger percentage of the lot that governs the development, or is it the smaller portion?
I think it's a case by case, and what makes sense. I mean, we're dealt a ridiculous situation when a lot is split instead of following the lot lines. And I think if they meet the criteria.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Yes.
But the-
So nowhere do I see anything about how you're gonna utilize this space. You're telling us how.
Yeah.
I'd like to visually see something on how much of this space, what part of this lot, how far from the abutters that you're actually gonna be using this space.
Go ahead. Hi, I'm the president.
Okay, could we have your name for the record, please?
So may you repeat the question, please?
Could we have your name for the
Oh,
record?
Tom LeBlanc,
Okay.
Circle
Tom.
National Cup president.
Okay.
So could you please repeat the question?
Sure. I'd like to know, I don't see anything in my packet that shows how you're gonna use this property. I know you're gonna use it for live music, outside entertainment, but it doesn't show me what area of this lot you're gonna be utilizing
The
and how
area-
far from the lot lines that you're gonna be
Okay.
using.
The part that with deck and stuff is within the commercial area, basically. Where we have our grills and where we have the seating, everything is within the line of the commercial area. The rest is just, why keep it residential too? I mean, we're not gonna utilize the whole yard and run around and get crazy. We just wanna keep it, it should, we just want it all commercial, so so people won't say wanna play cornhole while a band's playing, which is only Saturday nights. They'll be able to utilize a little of the extra area. That right now is residential too.
I understand what you're asking for. I don't think we have that jurisdiction without knowing how you are going to utilize that, because that's gonna give us a tool on what we're looking at. Especially if you're gonna be,
We,
doing things that are close to neighboring properties, which it sounds that you haven't been, but we need to know, we just need some idea on how you're gonna utilize this piece of property. And I understand right now you're utilizing most of the commercial part, and that you're probably you intend to go into the residential. I just need to know typically somebody comes in, we see a plan, we see what they're using, their setbacks, or where they're gonna be putting parking, which isn't affecting this, but it's still a land use. Alan?
There's an aerial photography in your packet that shows that the entire site is being used.
Thank you.
as, the entire site is being used as,
You can't vote this.
what is the entire site being used as?
We asked the questions.
Well, I'm
We
happy to
asked the
say
questions.
Aerial photography, I'm just asking.
Okay, so I'm seeing this, thank you, Alan, this was helpful. So I'm assuming some hoop houses, possibly, is that what this is in the corner? It's in the packet? This is what we're looking at right now?
Yeah, it looks like there's some
And
frames.
probably some cornhole.
Yes,
Some-
there's cornhole.
okay, yeah. So that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Yes,
So
that's
thank
kind of
you.
what we're using
Thank
it
you,
for,
Al.
horseshoes and cornhole. Our sheds in the residential area, but that we just store stuff in there.
And the concert and the live music will be placed,
It's right off the building.
okay.
It's
It
in
has
the,
nothing to do with the residential
Okay.
portion of it.
If you look in your packet, you'll see a little site plan, 2 pages back,
Yes, this one.
that shows
Oh, no,
that they're using, building a deck of something
right, I saw
on a
that.
portion of the site which is next to the building.
Yes.
Is that deck there, or is it,
This, okay, we did not own the property until October 2022, so if you want to go from there, please.
actually, I think I'd like to let you address part
Okay,
of that.
you want to address? Go ahead.
So, my name is Lenny Pappas. I am the entertainment director
Okay.
at the Circle. I'm just gonna kind of clarify a couple of things with what he had just said about the deck and stuff like that. So what we do is we use the commercial side of the property, which from the maps you can tell is
Yes.
zone commercial and whatever. On the residential side, the only thing that we have is a shed that we put our, when we take out the tables from the summer, we put those in there, lawn mowers, snow blowers, whatever we need. That's the only piece of structure that we have on the residential side. On the commercial side, we do have a deck that may be 1 foot off of the ground. It is not attached to any part of the building at all. It is a detached structure. It is just so people don't have to put their chairs or anything else on the dirt, on the grass, what have you.
is it this white
Can I
section
come over
here?
there?
I don't see any reason not to.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Just turn it after
This-
Jason.
Yeah, I'll show everybody after. So this is from May 2023.
Okay, yes, so this whole structure here, this is not
It's
a,
a touchscreen, so.
yeah, so this is not attached
Okay.
to any part of the building or anything. It's a detached structure. It's probably this high off the ground.
Okay. Motion.
Yeah, so probably like this high off the ground, not attached, so people don't have to sit in mud if it rains or whatever.
This is the aerial from Google Earth from May 2023.
This is the back one.
So this white thing, this white
Oh,
thing here,
okay,
that's the deck,
Yep,
and that's the
okay.
building.
okay.
So this is the deck, that's the building. I have to correlate the zone lots though.
Yeah.
That part I still haven't done yet.
Yeah, so that whole deck is in the commercial side. When we have events in the past, when we did have a permit for it, we would put up caution tape. So nobody would go on the residential side. Everybody would stay on the commercial side. We have been to multiple meetings where we have expressed, what do we need to do? There was a concern about parking along Rockland Ave. We got rid of that. There was a concern about parking on Elmwood. We got rid of that. We have a resident from the Shiloh Church, which is behind Ollie's, that allows us to use that parking lot. We use that parking lot. So when we have events, whether it be a lobster fest, charity, whatever, everybody parks over there. That's our overflow parking. We just purchased this lot probably a year ago. The previous owners, 15-4, they decided to cut down trees because they wanted to make that a parking lot. That unfortunately has nothing to do with us. They were the previous owners. They could do whatever. I know some.
That image showed those trees,
Right.
yeah.
So I
okay.
know that some abutting residents were not happy with that. We had offered to put up a fence, to plant trees for them. Unfortunately, they were like, yeah, if you put up a vinyl fence. We can't afford it. We offered, they denied, they wanted a vinyl fence, we said no. So, as far as that goes, that's where we are. But as far as usage of the commercial side of the 15-3, we only use that on Saturdays. We only have it from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. because of the noise ordinance. We make sure that everything is done at 9:55. Everybody is brought in. If there's a band playing outside, we do not charge we don't charge money, so it's not a concert. It's something live entertainment for our members. make sure that everybody is brought inside. We do not sell alcohol outside. We don't have a bar set up or anything like that. Everybody has to come in for that. There's no porta potties or anything like that. Everybody has to go inside the building.
Is consumption inside the building only?
Consumption is outside, but that was something that was granted to us from the liquor commissioner, and we did have a fire permit for all that and everything, so. As far as the uses, that's what the uses would be for.
Okay. What's your intentions on 15-4 that you just purchased?
We do not have any at all. The
Is that
reason, the
strict
reason,
residential? That
the
is a
reason we
full
purchased that
residential
is the people that sold it to us would not sell us 15.3 without 4.
lot. Okay.
So the reason we bought that is to make sure that we could have 15.3 to expand our membership and to do what we wanted to do on 15.3 commercial.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lenny.
Any other questions from the board for now?
Is there a map on here somewhere that shows where 15.4 is? I haven't,
It's right behind, it's a parcel lot
Right here.
behind
It's-
it.
It's that one.
oh, thanks.
Yes,
That's what I
directly
was
This is
looking
what they're
for.
looking at, that's that.
Okay, so can I borrow this map?
If I could just add
Sure,
one additional
please.
piece of context
Yes.
for the board.
Thanks.
The reason that my client is here asking for this variance specifically is, as Lenny has pointed out to the board, the club is taking significant steps to limit the incursion onto that residential portion, but the town has issued a cease and desist to my client, and part of the conditions of that cease and desist are that we are to be here before this board in order to make this application. So it's actually, if the board was unaware of that, it actually is a requirement by the town of Goffstown.
That was through the select board, correct?
Yes.
Because of the noise that was bothering the abutters?
That's the reason that is stated, correct.
Okay.
And as I stated and Lenny stated, my client is amenable to any form of conditions that the board might seek to impose in order to mitigate that risk.
Does the board have any more questions for the applicant before I open it up?
Not right now.
Okay, Alan?
Just that there's, the town, I thought, had a noise ordinance.
They do, they
do.
said till 10.
Okay, it has to do with the level of sound. And if they're living within that, that's okay, but if they're exceeding that, that's where I see the problem rises. And also the frequency. But I'm not sure that this board would want to take and prohibit their use on Saturdays exclusively, because he stated Saturdays, but I'm not sure that that's something we'd
We're
want to
taking
do.
into consideration that the law is met when they play music. You know, we're not gonna, we don't look at decibels. That's up to
Planning board
Planning board.
and select board.
in select board, and if people made complaints. As long as it's, what we look at is to make sure they are following the rules. It's whether we are gonna permit this in that zone. Split zone. Go ahead, find it, Alan.
So,
There is, in our zoning ordinance, there is something about noise.
Definitely.
Yes, there
It
is.
is, but as long as they obey it, is what our concern would be.
Can they demonstrate that they're obeying it?
Good question. Can you demonstrate that you are obeying the noise ordinance as far as decibels go with your music?
I have had multiple police officers come and tell us that they're here to do their job and they know that we're not doing anything wrong. They just understand that it's a complaint coming in from the neighbors. They've never asked us to turn it down. They've said that they've come in, you guys are fine, just make sure you're done by 10.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Any more questions for the applicant before we open this up to the public? We can call him back
I'm
after.
good.
so, yeah, I'm gonna wait.
Okay, I'm
want to
gonna
hear,
ask you to sit
I
down
know there's more, so.
for now. Well, I'll have you come back up after. Okay, I'd like to open this up to the public. If is anybody out there who would like to speak on this case, I'd appreciate if you would come up one at a time and give us your name. There's a lot of people to talk here this evening. We are going to restrict,
One at a time?
one at a time, please. We are going to restrict, we don't want repeats. So speak your concerns, if you're for it or against it. Please, and state your name.
Jenny Moses, and this is my husband, Trevor Moses.
Welcome.
Thank you. We're located at 12,
Could I get your address, please?
I was about to say it. 12 Elmwood Avenue.
Thank you.
Also 15-5 for the lot number.
Thank you, that helps me, actually. Okay, right here, in the corner.
So we're here, we just wanted to state our concerns.
Sure.
So our main concern is for the intended use of the lot if the variance is granted, which is the outdoor music and entertainment. Where our fear is that if it's allowed to expand, that the noise will be worse than it already is. We need more people coming and just the music being louder. The current noise level can be heard inside of our house with all of our doors and windows shut. I can hear the music lyrics perfectly clear to songs when I'm inside. And recently this year they had a raffle. I could literally hear them state the raffle numbers while I was sitting on my living room couch inside my house. There's really nowhere in my house that we can escape the noise. And Thursdays they'll play until they're inside, but they have like a DJ or something and they play until 1 in the morning. I have to go to bed at like 9 on Thursdays, and I can hear the bumping of the music. It kind of sounds like a car parked next to our house that's playing really loud music. Sometimes I think that's what it is, but then the car never leaves, so I realize it's the club.
This is for the indoor.
It's
So
indoor.
we're here for the outdoor,
Okay,
is what
sure.
we're here for.
So what was it? June.
Can I say something to that, though?
Sure.
If she was complaining, she was explaining about the noise that she hears even from inside, so I think that's pertinent because if they're
Yes,
going
her
to be
first part of her
outside.
conversation
Okay.
is noted for sure. It's just when they're playing music inside is not why we're here.
Sure.
It's for the music outside.
I understand.
But I think they're connected.
I
If it's
think
loud
that-
enough to be heard from inside to their home is the point that I
Okay.
think they're trying to
Then you
make.
can continue, if they want to listen to it.
Sure. So recently, it was June of this year, I just downloaded an app on my phone to measure the decibel noise. And this was at the back of my house. It was 85 decibels from the back of my house. And this is just for reference. The Manchester noise ordinance only allows at the property line during the day 55 decibels in a residential area and 65 in commercial. So they're way beyond that. Actually 80 to 90 decibels is dangerous for sustained periods of time and can result in hearing loss. So it's dangerous for their members as well because they're right by the music. And speaking of the Goffstown noise ordinance, we find it extremely vague and difficult for the police to enforce. I mean, they said themselves that the police come and literally do nothing when we complain, so clearly there's no clear way to enforce the noise ordinance, so we're just kind of left to deal with it until 10 o'clock at night, like every Saturday from 5 to 10. I would hope that something like that would, I know it might not be your job to do it, but to update the noise ordinance before any type of music venue is allowed like that, like right in a residential area. The last time it was updated, it was in 1997. I looked it up, so it's been a while.
I'm sorry?
Are you looking for that noise?
Oh, no, I wasn't.
Just out of
I will do
curiosity.
it.
It was on the
I have it.
website.
Oh, great, yes, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty
Thank you.
vague. Also, since they brought up lot 15-4, that's the lot directly
Thank you
abutting
very
our
much.
property.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
They mentioned that they offered us
So you can look at it, Carl.
to build a fence and plant trees, and that is completely false. They never offered us anything.
They did send around a, I don't know,
I don't know if they're members or
petition, I think I would call
it
it.
was a petition to.
It was me. It was me that knocked
Okay,
on your
no,
door.
we're gonna have one person talk at a time, please.
It was a petition to allow music, and we brought up the fact that we were upset about the lot behind us. They never brought anything to us.
And also, if they were originally planning to build a parking lot there. I
Correct.
understand this is not the current owner's intentions, but if you're planning to build a parking lot, don't you need that, it's a privacy fence? And normally those come as vinyl, so I don't know why that was unheard of.
I think we had brought it up because we were debating building our fence as vinyl, but we never said we must have a vinyl fence or we will not agree to this. And the reason that they couldn't build the parking lot was they got a cease and desist order from DES because there's wetlands back there, not because of us. So that's completely untrue. Also, they mentioned that they no longer use Rockland Ave for parking anymore. This past Saturday, there were tons of people parked on Rockland Ave. And they're also using the residential portion of a lot for cornhole this past Saturday. So, I mean, I don't know if that's completely non-compliance, but. Also, I don't know if it's in those pictures, but
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd like to show you some pictures of when we bought the house to what it looks like. Actually, these last updated last year.
because we're also concerned about diminished property value.
Yes, you've seen these before for the,
USA Insulation.
yes, sir.
Yes.
Yep. Would you like me to pass them around again?
Yes, please.
I'd just like to say
Excuse me
before
one second.
this is part, this has nothing to do with us, this is the previous owner.
Okay, that's
and USA.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
That's fine, thank you.
Can I see that ordinance, the sound ordinance?
Yes.
Because the site's down.
Some
I
of them
can't
come in.
pull it.
Sorry, I don't have time to read that.
And they say they're going to leave that property as is as a buffer, but as it is right now, it honestly diminishes our property value. I mean, they parked a truck back there and they've left it there since June. Like, I feel like they kind of treat it like a dump. They dump like random pallets and wood back there, and it's just a giant dirt pile back there that's been there since for a long time. They haven't done anything with it. Which, I mean, yes, they didn't clear the lot, but still, they own the lot now, and
It's real different.
we feel like it's diminishing our property value as is.
Thank you.
Alright.
All set?
Any
Yes.
questions?
No,
Thank you.
thank you very
Are we
much, appreciate
keeping
it.
These as part
Do you
of
want
the
to keep those
record?
for our record?
They should be, if they
Yes.
were, if they were
We'll
shown.
keep those for the record, please. Thank you.
You want me to keep track of?
Okay, and somebody else would like to speak?
Hey, Gail, while they're coming up, can you throw me one of those mints, please?
Oh,
I know.
Get
Need
us
some
started,
sugar.
thanks a lot.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm Jessica Pappas. I'm the secretary of the Circle.
Welcome.
So I had originally, the beginning of last year, me and another member tried to canvass the neighborhood and just try to talk to the neighbors and explain to them what we were trying to do to improve what they had complained about previously. We told them, some of the people, we invited their kids to the kids' Christmas party. We went over things, and when we got to the people that were just sitting here, when we got to their residence, the gentleman brought me out into his backyard, and he said, "Do you want to see why I'm angry?" I said, "Sure." And I saw what I was looking at, and I get that. And I told him, I said, "I'm very sorry." I said, "The people who own the place, that own that property before us, are the people that tore down those trees without permission." I said, "I get why you're upset." He told me, I said, "We would be willing to put up a fence." He did say that he wanted, he goes, "Well, we were thinking about putting up a vinyl." I said, "I would have to talk to the board because I don't know because if you get wood, we can just have some of the members come over and put up a wood fence, plant some trees, and try to rectify that for him." So he wasn't happy with that. And he told me, so for them to say that that didn't happen, that absolutely did happen. I also, what he told me was he had bought the house the year before, or the whatever time, And he said that he would actually invite people over and sit in the backyard because they love the music. And they sit around their fire and actually listen to the music because it was great. And they said the only reason why they're mad is because of the cutting of the trees. And now it looks like a construction zone in their backs, which I agree with, it does. We spent money, what the people that owned it before ripped down a tree, there was a big huge trunk in the back. We spent money to have people divide up whatever. We got rid of everything, and unfortunately, USA Insulation, who's not even supposed to be there, is using it as a parking site for their trucks and a dumping zone. So anyways, that is not us. We've already cleared it once, and we don't use it, so we really don't see beyond there, but, I mean, we talked about putting up a game camera to try to figure out who is using it as a dumping zone. It's not us.
Okay, thank you for that, appreciate it.
Two things. The first one, were they offered the chance to not have to be heard because we don't have 5?
It was said in the,
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, you may come up, please.
Hi, my name's Nikki Guidaboni.
You might need to spell
hold
that.
on, you're gonna need to
Oh,
spell that one.
okay, yeah, I will. Guido, Boni, first name's Nicole, actually.
Thank you.
Your
address?
I am one of the, I'm sorry?
Address?
5 Farley Street, Milford, New Hampshire.
Thank you.
You can sit down.
Thank you. I used to own a house actually in Pinardville, not far from there, up on Laurel Street for 8.5 years. Several years ago, but I am one of the musicians that play there. And I've been playing there for quite a while. And as a professional, any place I play, outdoors, indoors, I'm just stating the facts that, you know, and they're not all musicians may not do this, but most of the ones I know do. You know, we walk around and make sure it's at a respectful level, first of all, to make sure people can still talk and have a conversation, and it's not blaring in their face. I know the neighbors are all there. I used to own a house right up the street, so I appreciate that, and I get that and respect it completely. You know, being a homeowner myself in the past, and also being a musician. You know, I'm 52 years old, I'm a professional, I do this on the side, it's fun, you know, and this is people's outlet. They come here just to relax from the week type of thing. And I did play there Saturday night for their Lobster Fest. Unfortunately, I had to play inside. You know, it is a, you know, smoking bar, so they've lost some business, and I know this fact, that, you know, many people didn't come because they wanted us to be outside. So that's the downside of it, unfortunately, you know, but I just wanted to state the facts that when we go there, I don't have a decibel reader to see what the sound is. But we do walk around with wireless guitars and microphones to make sure that it's not that loud. And yes, there's going to be an echo, unfortunately, because there's no gap. There's nothing separating the gap other than a stockade fence.
What
between-
direction is the noise heading?
It faces the back of the yard, which faces the back of the houses. So, and there's really no other place to put it, if you think about it, because you can't even use the other part for cornhole, which I didn't realize this till I think last year. They had it blocked off, and it's within the same fenced-in area. So to me, it's kind of, it seems kind of, you know, why can't you use it? I don't understand. You know, it's a big, beautiful yard, and they've done a lot of work to it to upgrade it, and it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. But I have yet to play on the new staged area that they've done a lot of work to, and it looks good. It's not a dump. You know, and I'm surprised that they're going through this, unfortunately. It's, yeah. But I wanted to state, you know, at least say my piece for the club, because it is a good club, there's good people there. We all have regular everyday jobs, and, you know, like I said, we don't blast it so that you can't hear each other. You're gonna have some bass effects. That's a given, and you can't stop that even if you're in the building.
Okay. Thank you,
That was it. Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Come on down.
Hi,
Hi, state your name, please, for the record.
Brenda Hersey, and this is Jason White, my husband.
Okay.
And we live at 6 Elmwood Ave, directly behind the club, kind of to the left of the parking lot. But we have about maybe 20 feet that is sort of in that second lot. I'm looking for this. I don't know what the, Trevor, do you know what the
So you're right at the corner.
plot number?
Are you on the corner of the road?
Nope, the second house. Is it the second? You don't have it? I want to say it's 15.1.
Why don't you look at my
Yeah, I'm
site
sorry.
plan right there and show me
16.1?
which lot it is?
Let me see.
Okay, Elmwood.
What line is here? Okay, it's 15.6.1.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep. Second one. Okay.
15.61?
Yes, second one.
Sorry, hang
So,
on for a minute.
Here.
Oh, gotcha. Good to go.
Thanks. We moved in a couple years ago. Part of the reason, actually I would say 90% of the reason that we bought this house was because of the outdoor space in the back. We have a pool, we have a patio, we have a deck, and we've been living in rented places until we bought the house. And it's our first home. And we didn't have, there was no way for us to know at that time that there was live music being played in the back. And I'm not sure how it sounds to them sitting right there, but it is, I have videos here if you want to hear it. If I can put them into the record somehow. It is extremely loud at our house. It literally sounds like there's a concert in our house. And I have videos of me trying to get my son's attention, who's about 10 feet away. And I can't. He can't even hear me. I have another video of somebody who's standing at our grill, which is probably, 5 feet from the edge of the deck. That person's like, I can't even hear what you're saying. They had to come up and we had to go inside. When we're inside, and this is last year. This year, obviously, it's been very quiet because they have not been outdoors at all, but I think maybe once. So last year, and when we're indoors, we can actually hear it. My son jokes about it being like Jurassic Park because your drink is like shaking inside. It's extremely loud, and we can't enjoy our space on Saturday nights. He works till like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on a Friday night, so we're not usually having guests. I'm very emotional about this, I'm sorry. We're not used to having company on a Friday night. Saturday night is our night. And we can't even have a conversation with people outside at all. And like I said, I have videos of that. And then this year, prior to the cease and desist, I believe, they built this stage, which is, and I've got pictures before and after, that's much bigger, much wider, it's higher off the ground. I understand why they probably felt that they needed it, but it is actually, I feel like it's going to project more sound towards us. I don't think it's,
Can we keep it down back there, please?
I don't think it's reasonable at all for us to lose every Saturday night from April until November. It's unreasonable that they should be able to use their outdoor space and we can't use ours. And so I strongly object to them getting a variance. I mean, I just feel like it's going to, that my first thought when I saw the stage was, oh God, now they're gonna make it bigger and better. It's gonna be more noise, more people. And even if they could tone the noise down, a live band can only go so, so low before they're drowned out by the drums. They can only go so low. I don't see a compromise on that. And they've been doing indoor, concerts for the last 2 years that I've been here in the winter without any issue. I don't see why that can't continue, and they can send smokers outside for the, those times that they've got a band that doesn't want smoking indoors. I really and truly don't see why they need to have outdoor entertainment. I hesitate to say this because I feel like if you give an inch, they'll take a mile. But I'm this past Saturday, I think it was Saturday that they had the Lobster Fest, and they had music piped through. It was like DJ music that was piped through. It was perfect, like level. We could hear it. We could hear them talking. It was actually pleasant. There was a time last year that they had a one-man singer with a guitar, and that was wonderful. We sat in our pool all afternoon. We could talk. We could hear ourselves. We could have normal conversation, and I thought that was great. So my intent is not to get rid of their ability to have fun and have bands and enjoy themselves outside. The live concerts are concerts. They are blasting, and I wish somebody, a cop who heard our pleas, or one of these guys would come over and stand at our yard, in our backyard while they're playing. They are, we can see them. I mean, we can see them. The DJs and the MCs and it's so loud in our house. We cannot watch a TV show. We can't have a conversation indoors because we've had to choose to be indoors a lot because we can't sit outdoors. So I just want to state my strong objection to the variance.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
Excuse me, do you have a fence, like, is there a solid fence in the back of your property, or?
There is, yeah.
Okay, because all I see is a fence, like a,
It's a picket fence, you know, it's just a picket fence. It's not, I mean, but it's, there's no space in between. It's like a solid fence.
thank you.
Yeah. But it doesn't, I mean, it's like, I want to say it's like 6 feet. It's their fence on their side, so it's about 6 feet. And then it, if I'm not mistaken, it comes up, it drops down into the lot so we can see into the lot. We just put up a privacy fence recently, just for privacy reasons, so that people, like our kids and stuff, that our grandchildren and stuff, when they're in the pool, that they're not, you know, there's not adults down there. So, but, you know, we prefer to have the sound be mitigated a lot, if possible, or not at all.
Thank you. Thank you, appreciate it.
Did you want to add anything to that? Nope. All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody else from the public would like to speak? Come on up, please.
Susan Crowley, C-R-O-W-L-E-Y. I'm at 10 Elmwood Ave. I'm right in between the last two people. I'm not going to repeat everything they said because I 100% agree with them. It's just I have 4 young boys and their bedrooms are right on that back side that they are trying to use that extra property. And it would impact my family just as much as theirs. And we 100% disagree with this variance going through. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate you coming in. Anybody else in the public? Come on up.
My name's Terry Ann Corrett, and I live at 258 Master Road.
Could you say your name again, please?
Terry Ann Corrett.
Spell it.
C-A-R-E-T-T-E.
Thank you. And your address?
My house is 258 Master Road.
Thank you.
It's just barely a half a mile from this club. And we have rescue dogs who are very anxious and high-strung when it comes to loud noises and what have you. We can barely hear the music coming from the club when they are having outdoor venues. And again, as I stated, it's barely a half mile from the location. So I understand that the neighbors that are right there next to the location are having some issues, but I'm just putting in my input as far as the decibels, because it is, again, just barely a half a mile, and my dogs are not affected by it at all, and trust me, when it comes to noises, they are. So I just wanted to put that out there, that it may be just an issue with the fact that those houses are right there on top of that property, but I don't live that far at all, and it's not as loud as I've had some other issues with neighbors and what have you with my dogs.
Appreciate you coming in, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public?
Pappas, Secretary of the Circle. So it's bizarre to me that people change their opinions because...
I don't want to hear, we don't want to be bashing each other.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so you
yes, I'm just
want-
trying to explain to you where I'm
Okay.
coming from. So the gentleman that was sitting here, when they first moved in, he said they were sitting out in the backyard, loved the music. He actually came over, introduced himself. We gave him a free membership and he came and hung out. So obviously, when they bought their house, the property values you bought a house right next to a bar that they've been having live music since 1994 outside. It's not something new, it's just something that's inconvenient to them now for whatever reason, but this is It's been going on since '94. They bought the house, it was already in place. You see, regardless if the music was playing when it's going, you see that there's a bar in your backyard, and I guess I just don't understand expectations when your property abuts a bar. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Any other people in the audience would like to speak?
Yeah, I'd like to respond since the words are being put in my mouth, it seems.
And ours.
Briefly, please. You have to come up, please.
Yes.
Sit down. No? Too late.
Again, Trevor Moses, 12 Elmwood Avenue. Yes, there was an interaction. They came over to my house and gave me that paperwork, and like we said earlier. When we moved in, there were all those trees. There was a sound buffer there. Again, I understand it wasn't them that cleared it, just like it wasn't my fault that those trees got cleared and they were playing music loudly. That's really, I don't understand how they can say that's about us and continue to put words in our mouths.
Thank you.
Brenda Hersey, 6 Elmwood Ave. We did, in fact, my husband went over there to be neighborly. We did not know what we did know that it was a bar. We were told by our real estate agent that there was, that it was a bar and that they had barbecues and horseshoes outside. We were fine with that. We're still fine with that. And so we went over there to be neighborly. We were invited back for the Lobster Fest. They spent some time with us talking about being glad that we're there because the neighbor before was a jerk and not so nice words. And so then that we had been there, maybe we moved in on September 8th. This was maybe the end of September, so a couple weeks. We had heard them play outdoors once at that point, and then we went to this event. We eventually met our neighbors and learned that the people that lived in our house left because of they were having issues, and I know that there's previous zoning board meetings where they were attending, trying to get this to stop. And then we experienced it for ourselves the next summer. So we had one real experience with them outdoors then. So yes, I think when we were there that day, enjoying a nice lobster dinner on them, we absolutely told them, perhaps, like, oh, well, it didn't bother us that day. But it does now, because we heard it, and it was every Saturday night last summer. Every Saturday night, like maybe 3 Saturday nights they didn't play, or they didn't have somebody there. So I just want to clarify that.
Nope, that's fine. Any new information out there? Okay, would the applicant like to come back up?
Yeah, I have some questions for them now.
After he answers. Floor is yours.
Well, I would just, I would state briefly in response that as the board has already deliberated and been aware, the, the vagueness of the noise ordinance, is not an issue that's before the zoning board of adjustment. As we've stated repeatedly, and as you've heard from several members of the applicant is willing to make concessions, to make changes, to agree to conditions in order to mitigate this. It's not a situation where it's a lack of recognition of the issue. In terms of the direction of the stage, I would note that the applicant is willing to turn the stage in a different direction in efforts to mitigate the sound. But as the board is well aware, your job is to balance the harms here. And as we've stated, we're before the board for multiple reasons, one of which being the town is asking us to obtain relief from that zoning ordinance if the board so chooses. If we don't receive that relief, then effectively the applicant's not able to use this property really at all, given the circumstances, and that has a significant financial impact to the applicant. And as was noted, we're talking about Saturday nights during the good weather. It's not an everyday thing, and it is in compliance with the existing noise ordinance. I don't have measurements to share with the board. I can tell you, at least in terms of my involvement with this case, I did not get involved until the cease and desist was in place. And obviously, the outdoor music did not continue the pendency of that order. So I would just point out that there may be a combination of conditions that the board can impose that allows the board to balance the harms between the abutters and the applicant's use of the property in order to continue, to make a profit and not have a significant, financial and obviously the enjoyment of their members would be significantly impacted.
Alan?
What months do they have the outside music? Specifically? May through September?
June 1st.
Why don't you come up, please, at the table?
Absolutely. First weekend of June.
Your name again, please?
Lenny Pappas. I am the entertainment director. We have them the first weekend of June through the last weekend of September.
So June through September.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
One other thing that I'd like to add while I'm up here is it possible for us to be able to get a relook at the zoning that we have? Because I'm pretty sure the plot that we gave, the abutters are part commercial. Their property is part commercial.
Correct.
Okay, so we're just looking to use our commercial. I don't want that used against us because part of their plot plan is in commercial. And then the last thing I'd like to add is we have come to this board once, and I believe the selectmen a couple of times, and we have offered to turn our stage away facing USA Installation, and we've been denied that. So we have offered to take it away from the residential side and push the music and the noise going away from that. And we're willing to still do that.
Who denied you doing that?
I believe it was the town selectmen. Thank you.
So my question to the applicant is, have you approached your abutters and asked them what you could do to make this amendable to them? Because I think a couple of them seem to be, maybe I'm incorrect, but maybe there's an amendment you could be making with your neighbors.
My understanding from the conversations that the applicant has had, as has been noted by several members, relate to the addition of fencing, the planting of trees, the cutting on lot 4 has been covered in the mitigation efforts there, but I'm not aware of any additional conversations outside of those that have already been outlined to the board.
Did you have a question?
So 15.15-3 was purchased because you had to purchase 15.4 the other way around.
The other way around is my understanding.
So they got 15.4 because they wanted 15.3.
Correct. The prior owner of both lots insisted that it was a package deal.
Okay.
Effectively.
So I'm sorry, but they went into that knowing this. It's been cleared, because that was cleared last year. So they knew that they were getting a property that was problematic. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
The time, it's the time for me that's.
Can we have the three of you sit right up front?
Sure.
Okay, then you don't have to keep coming up and down, please.
Thank you.
Since they have answers that
So
the
to
attorney
answer
may
your
not
question,
have.
we did know that it was cleared, but as far as it being problematic, that really had nothing to do with us.
Right, but it was cleared and before you purchased it?
Correct.
Okay.
So the reason that we had to purchase that is they would not sell us 15.3 without
Right,
purchasing.
no, I understand that.
If I could also just note for the board that the applicant was using the same subject property prior to ownership with the permission of the prior owner. So as was noted previously, that use was continuous for many years prior.
So we would lease 15.3?
But if they did not have a variance
Correct.
for that, it's irrelevant to
Correct.
us this evening.
To answer your question about was there things done, that was, I think it was last April. That's when I went out and tried to talk to the people that were abutting our property to try to ask them, to tell them the things that we had done to rectify the things that were talked about the year before. The parking, the sound, one of the bands, and one of them said that they didn't like the reggae, so we didn't hire reggae back. So I did try to talk to them about what we could do to find a common ground, and it didn't get anywhere. So just to answer your question.
Yep, that's what I wanted to know, if there was any temporary. Yep, thank you. Any further questions?
Oh, sorry, hang on. Let me make sure. All right, so in terms of the 15-4 maintenance, how is the club, I guess, I'm not sure if the question's for them or not. The responsibility for maintaining it and making sure that it's taken care of properly. That is the responsibility of the property owner, is it not? I mean, if I was to have all kinds of junk cars and stuff on my property.
You're limited to how many unregistered cars you can have on a piece of
Oh,
property. And it's
I said
two.
cars, but
But, you know, you can have
let's
two
say-
unregistered vehicles on your property.
Let's say it was a collection of junky things, though. I said cars, but it could be any junk.
It would be per the ordinance.
Okay.
So to answer that, we've reached out to USA Installation 2 to 3 times, telling them that they cannot dump their trash on our side. One time, they agreed and they pulled it out. We are still having issues with that. So our next step is to go to the next process to get them to stop doing it. But we have done what we do to try to keep it civil.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm all set.
So looking at the plot plan, I'd like you to answer one question to me, so you can see where the line is dividing the commercial and the residential. On 15-3. Your
Yes.
intended use is to go use that entire space for entertainment. Is that correct? So you're going to be going into the residential part of this commercial split zone.
The intended,
That basically allows them to continue using it for whatever it's being used for now.
We do not want anything to do with the residential side. We are only going to use the commercial side,
Only where that line is.
only where that line is. That's where we have our seating, that's where we have the bands play, everything. Nothing is on the other side. We have allowed members to go and play cornhole and stuff, but we are willing to shut that completely off. When we have bands, we put the tape up, we put the caution tape up, and we do not let anybody on that side when we have live music.
So where I see this red line, pink line, whatever you want to call it, so that's giving you probably a third of the property.
Correct.
Of this
Correct.
lot is commercial.
Yep.
That's the only piece of property
That's
you're interested in.
all we use it
using.
for.
Okay.
How far is the stage from that?
It is right on the property line.
So the edge of the stage is.
Everything, actually, the edge of the seating, if you look at the plot plan, this U-shaped thing is the U-shape here.
Yeah,
That is the seating area. Everything on this side, we do not use at all.
okay, so the edge is where the property
The edge
line
is where the property line
Thank
goes,
you.
yeah.
That's what I was trying to
Yeah,
figure
we set
out.
that up so we would not be inside the residential side.
Okay.
And I would just remind the board that the primary purpose of this request is to comply with the town's orders. That's the reason that we're here.
The town's order?
The town's cease and desist order, yes.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I'm gonna have you sit down, we're gonna close the meeting to the public, we're gonna deliberate. I would appreciate silence from all of you while we deliberate, and looks like Alan stepped out, so we will take a 3-minute break. Waiting for Alan to come back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, if he's gonna step out, I'm going to too.
Do you
But I
have
don't
time
have to
for 3
later.
minutes, or have to extend it?
My wire's over there.
You got 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Got a long night.
Start without me.
Okay, we're all set? Start deliberations. Alan, do you have anything to say?
There seems to be 4 issues here.
Okay, go ahead.
One is visual. They can see it. The neighbors can see it. 2, they play one night a week from May to September. We were forewarned by USA Insulation that they'd be here with this request. When he walked out the door, I have a very good memory.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
When USA Insulation was here,
Okay.
Tonight?
part of the discussion,
Is this in the previous meeting?
yes,
Okay.
part of the discussion was they mentioned that the Circular Club will be here to get a variance. Now, that was before it was sold. Because we saw it last year.
So it's irrelevant to these owners,
Irrelevant.
correct?
Irrelevant.
Okay.
I'm concerned about the split zone. And this is not the only site that exists out in town, especially in Penardville. It's like, how did that happen? I don't know. I think that, to be honest with you, I'm thinking that maybe we put some restrictions on it. Visual fencing along those property lines. 8 foot tall, so that they can't see in?
I'd actually say maybe even higher than that.
That's a
No,
high sense.
no.
Structurally.
Well,
It's a zoning ordinance issue.
well, you're talking fence, but I would say some kind of sound absorption. Like I'm thinking, like the at driving ranges they got those huge poles with nets and stuff on them.
No, well, the thing is, if you wanted to kill the sound, you put up a solid fence and you put a sound absorbing fabric on it like they do for transformers and generators. It can be done. It's not inexpensive. Saturdays only, I hate restricting people to just 1 day a week. That's my problem.
That's what they're asking for.
I know that's what they're stating as, but for the occasion where it does, and that we should put a restriction on the decibel noise, 65 dBs.
At what point? At what area?
At the property line.
Okay. Which matches the Manchester ordinance.
Yes.
How about the direction of the stage?
Huh?
How about the direction of the stage?
No,
Really?
no, doesn't make a difference.
I think it does.
Well,
I think it does too.
The noise is going to
I
push
used to be
right
crazy,
out the
I used to be crazy enough to play in a band on a stage.
Get out.
No, I did. In my misspent youth.
I can't
Which
even
was-
get that out of my head.
Yeah.
What kind of sound system did you use back then, Ellen?
Didn't have any.
Never mind. Don't have to answer that.
We can get back to that.
Yes, we can.
Not your,
No,
Not
playing
your
in a
band.
band.
No.
Okay.
So the thing is, it needs to be a solid barrier. Whatever's put up there for a fence, if that's it. It has to be a solid barrier because the sound will go under, over, and around any object that's there. If there's a,
You want it to be absorbing too,
It has to be absorbing.
which might be wood versus,
that is not something that I'd be in favor of.
a wood.
No, any kind of a sound absorbing material.
Why?
Because I'm thinking about visual as the only,
I don't know.
okay? I'm not worried about the sound. Because the sound is there, and it's been there. And yes, it's once a week for the summer months. And it's when people like to open their windows and whatever. But if they're maintaining the timing is critical. Right now, they're running till 10 o'clock PM. Now, do we restrict the time to make it more convenient for people that need to go to bed and have it quiet?
I don't know if we can be any more restrictive than the current sound ordinance is.
Because, did you read it?
The noise, well, the time on the noise ordinance is there. I've read the vagueness of it, yes.
Yes.
I mean,
Right.
from the residential perspective, I
Can I
can see
see-
Well,
their
see, does-
Yeah, still have
problem.
it?
Like, from the commercial side, I can see their problem.
Well,
So,
I can see it from the residential side. Now, I think I'm probably smart enough to know that if there's a club there and they're playing music outdoors, I'm gonna have to listen to it. And I obviously wouldn't buy there, unfortunately. But that's me, it's not everybody.
well, it's also, I think, part of that though, is if you buy your property when they're not out there playing it, and that's when you're going to look at it, it's often really hard to oh, it can't be that loud. And then you get to it, and you're like, holy moly, that's louder than I thought. I mean, I can certainly see that.
Well, maybe we
I'd
should,
be aware of that. I mean,
you know,
I
that's
get it.
unfortunately, and I hate to say that, but,
We know what year this was
but
written.
that's not why we're here, because
no.
they did not have a variance to do what they're doing. And that's why they're here this evening, and that's why they got shut down.
Well,
Because
that was,
of the split zone. They're here because it's a split
but
zone.
no one produced a cease and desist, what do they say in it? What did the town say in it?
This is on me, Jack here.
What'd you say?
We need Jack here for that.
No. I mean, but no one's submitted a document saying this is what we got from the town. Was the town specific about what they were looking for? The selectmen?
Well, they sent him here for a variance.
No, no. We don't know what it said.
The only thing
But
I
they're
know-
obvious, if they have a council, obvious solution is to come to the zoning board. That's why they're here. Anybody with intelligence would know if you gotta get some kind of circumstance approved to be able to do it, where do you go? To the zoning board.
I know when the select board got the cease and desist, it was, it began with complaints about the noise.
Okay.
I guess one of the things that I think we would have to, at least in my mind, we would have to reword the variance request. Because one of the problems that I have with this is the way that it's written. They're seeking a variance to expand the use of its property as a private membership, fraternal or social organization or club onto the residential 2 portion of lot 3. There's nothing there that says down the road they couldn't expand that. So if we grant this,
They
we
could
really
expand the
need to
club.
make sure.
They could physically expand
Right,
the
we
club.
really need to make sure that these restrictions are in place, like. And I think it also puts us into a position where I don't know it puts us into a position of being mediators between the two to figure out what those limits are. And I don't necessarily think that that's a great place to be.
Well, first of all, I don't believe they're asking for a variance to go into the residential portion of this property. That is not what they're asking for. They made it very clear to me that they're asking to use the part of the lot that is in commercial. Now, if they decide to expand their building into that, it's a commercial piece of property.
That is correct.
It does say,
But that's not
they're
what I'm
seeking
saying.
to expand use of its property as a private membership, fraternal or social organization or club onto the residential 2 portion of lot 3.
But that is not what they stated here this evening. And so
Right.
if we approved it, we would change that to only the commercial.
But I don't think that's necessarily our purview to change that.
Yes, because
There-
it is, because we
First
can
of
make
all,
any stipulation and
We can make the
want.
stipulation, and second of all, whatever an applicant presents here and says they will do, whether it's added even if it's not added as a condition, it's taken as a condition. So if they say they're gonna go to that line and stop, if they go beyond that line, they can come back in, we can get another cease and desist order. They have to do whatever it is that they say they're going to do, or combination thereof between whatever.
And I,
things we
As an
apply.
hang on,
as an
Ellen, wait.
example.
I don't want to, Ellen, I don't want to lose this thought because this is an important part of this conversation. In the past, we've always said that it's not our responsibility to tell the applicant what to do to fix it. In this particular case, this to me is a completely, if I was to vote on this right now based on this, I would have to look at it and say, what changes are we gonna make to make everybody happy? I don't think we can. So if we step back and say, okay, let's just look at this the way they're asking for it and vote on it, not put stipulations on it, this is what they're asking for, yes or no?
Well, as stated in the meeting, they are willing to make concessions and they're making that up to us. And they clearly spoke in the meeting that they are only gonna be using the commercial area. I was very clear, I flat out asked that question and got an answer. So we, like we often do, we approve with conditions. And they have to meet our conditions. That happens quite often. This is, maybe a little different because it's a split zone. But if that was a full commercial property,
Well, this would be
We
a
wouldn't
different
be here.
discussion.
exactly, but
Right.
they're using the commercial part of it. And that's what we have to remember.
As an example, I just finished a court case of a similar site that was split zone. And the ruling was that the larger portion of the site governed the zone.
And that
So-
would make this residential.
That is correct. And there's no such, the basic law is, there's no such thing as a split zone.
Yeah.
It's an error created by the municipality,
Mhm.
is what it came down to. So, in theory, they're asking us to be able to use that lot in its entirety. And I would give them that. Because we're not in a police organization that's going to go up there with a tape measure and make sure that it's in the right place, in the right location, in the right distance. That's not our purview. We're not going to send a policeman out there to do that. So,
Right, but if we put a stipulation saying that there's gonna be a sound, if we aren't gonna permit a higher than 65 dB.
that's right, and we can
at
do
the-
that.
Right, but now we're gonna expect the police department to show up with a sensor thing.
They'll have to prove the case if somebody, we had one of their butters speak and said they had measured the dB.
Right.
And you can do that on your phone,
Yeah.
okay?
Right.
It's a very simple thing. I've done it. For measuring,
When you were in the band?
no, measuring the sound that comes from a speaker at a drive-up window.
Oh, yeah. That, you're right. Those can be very loud.
But they're adjustable.
That's right.
So, the thing is, just like the band's volume is adjustable, so if you set the limit at 65 dB, that's an enforceable stipulation. And I would let them use the entire lot, because it's being used now for recreational, everything associated with the club. I have no problem with
I don't
that.
have a problem with them using it for cornhole. I do have a problem with them using it for outdoor entertainment with music.
Okay, what,
Personally.
what the description of their request states, that is that expand use of its property as a private membership, fraternal, or social organization or club onto the residential two
Right.
portion of Lot 3. So they're going,
But they stated they would not be using it, and if we would make that a stipulation. I agree that that's not what that says.
and
but
as
we
as
can
part of
limit
the
it.
functions, including outdoor music and entertainment. So they're talking about cornhole, but they're stating outdoor music.
We could limit the area of outdoor music into a commercial area, which they're saying they will stay in.
The other,
That, they stated that.
Can
They
I make a
stated it.
suggestion?
Well, I mean, that's all we can go by.
I know.
I'm not,
Madam Chair, can I make a suggestion?
yes, you may.
That we table this and to take care of the other cases we have this evening first, and we'll take this up last.
Deliberate
The result.
later. I agree with that, so we
Yeah.
can get some more things done. Okay.
Because these folks are
Yeah,
patient.
yes. So you can either, anybody that's here for the case that we're discussing can either wait, or you can go home, you can watch us on television, but we will be deliberating at the end of this meeting. There's no more communication from you to us anyways, so it's your decision whether you want to stay here or watch us from home or call the town hall tomorrow. Okay, I think that's a good recommendation.
Yeah, very
So we
good.
will table this till the end of the meeting and we will continue deliberating. Now I gotta find my list here.
that's actually really important, because if we end up voting in 2-2, that's gonna
We
be a
gotta
problem.
remember, we don't go past 11 o'clock. Is
Right.
it 11 o'clock on our?
Yes, we're
in
not
our-
going past 11.
So, and if we have to continue deliberations even to another day, that can be done.
Okay. Badfish RE Corp. Applicant's owner is seeking a variance to allow a residential use within an existing building that is located within a commercial zoning district. A variance is required as this use is not permitted per section 3.11, table of principal uses. A 1 of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The property is located at 627 Mass Road, map 16, lot 113, zoned commercial. Is somebody here to present this case?
I'll make
I
a motion
vote.
to find no regional impact.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstentions? None. All approved. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Please state your name.
Christy Witten, owner of Badfish RE Corp.
Okay. Tell us about why you're here this evening, please.
The property is actually a single-family cape with a kitchen and 2 bathrooms, and we didn't change any of that. We're just looking to have my son live in it. So, that's it.
So you're the current owner?
Yeah.
And did you own it when it was commercial property?
It's, no, we've never used it as commercial property, but I currently own it now, and that is
Okay.
what it's zoned as.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's it. Is there anything else you'd like? Did you filled out the application?
Yep.
So-
There's a driveway, so the driveway's on Morrow.
Mhm.
So the driveway's in the back of the house. I don't know, it's a house. That's my only thing.
Painted blue, it was.
It's gonna be green. We just took the siding off.
Okay, and there was a business in this previously?
I think it was so prior there was the woman lived in it and ran a dog grooming place out of it, and then it was Atlantic Real Estate. I don't know that they ever actually worked out of there, but they hung a sign there.
Okay.
Was never open.
Yeah, they never actually worked out of there, but, which is, I think, why it's never been altered. Meaning, like, you walk into a cape with a kitchen and a living room and 2 bedrooms and a bathroom and.
Questions for the
Next to the
applicant?
Watoi.
Yeah, I know exactly where it is. Jason?
No, I'm good.
Gail? Any questions for the applicant? Alan, any questions?
No, I've looked at it. I have no problem.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to sit back. I'm going to see if there's anybody here from the public that would like to speak. Anybody from the public that would like to speak for or against this? Okay, you can come right back up. Do you have anything more to add? Because once we do close the public hearing, you will not be able to speak when we start talking and start deliberating.
I don't.
Okay. Thank you. You can sit down. Okay, thoughts? Alan, Jason, Gail?
I try not to think.
It's like everything else. They were all houses there 40 years ago.
I know.
And the fact that there is not a big stress on commercial space right now,
No?
and that somebody wants to take and convert it back to a residence, without changing the footprint or anything, do anything crazy,
Right.
is probably admirable.
Jason?
You know, I'm gonna wait, because I suspect somebody's gonna say something else, but I wanna wait.
You know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Gail?
No, I'm okay.
My only concern is it is a commercial piece of property, and they have to understand that they are in a commercial property, and that, you never know what's gonna happen next door, at Watoi. It's a commercial property, and now we have a residential abutter that's really not a residential abutter, they are on a commercial property.
Correct. But
And I
there's-
always state that if we give a variance for residential in a commercial.
Correct. But that's, in particular, that site has a brook enclosure through it.
Right.
Runs under the highway, runs through the Watoi parking lot. It's a mess.
Yeah, like a lot of lots.
I'm good now. I can't say it as eloquently.
I'm just right to the point. Okay, yeah. Anything else? You know what I'm waiting for then?
Close it.
Okay, we're gonna close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to approve the request as stated by the applicant.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Any discussion?
Do we have to put any of those stipulation thingies in it?
Yes.
In the
No, not
motion?
those, but just, really need to go through the criteria in your motion. So Alan, you motioned, so you can,
Finding that it's not contrary to the public interest because.
Here. Oh, I've got, you got it?
Yeah. Not contrary to the public
Leads
interest
its way over
because.
here, so I don't think necessarily. Thanks.
Because, why is it not contrary to the public interest?
And I said, I made a statement that it met the 5 criteria of granting a variance.
Yeah, but we have to write them down now.
Yeah, we
In
have
the
to.
minutes. We do. We were asked to do that. Yes, we were. Just briefly. Sometimes I say the same thing all 5 times because it's the answer.
It's not contrary to the public interest because it is a house, it was a house, and.
It's around houses. It acts like a house. It's only 8:30, I'm getting punchy.
And the
Actually,
applicant was cautioned.
it's a house that was actually granted a variance to be a commercial enterprise, and then now wants to be back a house. We granted a variance.
It's not in a commercial district?
It is.
Oh,
But we
before
granted-
it was owned.
You know, it's a site plan was a crazy one, because it was on the, I was on the board when it
Okay.
was approved.
Did we meet the criteria? What's next, Cal?
Spirit of the ordinance.
Certainly does, it's an adaptable reuse.
And substantial justice.
I'm not gonna use it for anything else.
I would say it's the same thing, those two are very related criteria.
Correct. And there's certainly not gonna be any diminution of value of properties, surrounding properties.
Correct. Thank you, Alan.
And I accept as amended.
Seconded, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion
I'm gonna ask
carries.
for questions. Yes. Okay, you're all set? You can, your son can live in that house. Okay, moving on. Okay. Let's see if I can get this name.
Dio Gracias.
Dio Gracias.
Dio Gracias.
Dio Gracias. Wano, is it?
Wano.
Wano. Could you please come up? Applicant owner is seeking 2 variances to convert a single-family home into a duplex 2-family home. Wow, this is really good. The first variance is required as the lot has .55 acres, whereas the zoning ordinance requires 1 acre of buildable area on a lot without both municipal sewer and water. The second variance is required because section 4.3 of the zoning ordinance has a maximum number of dwelling units of 1 dwelling unit buildable acre. The property is located at 87 New Boston Road, map 33, lot 14, zoned residential 1. Welcome.
Motion, no regional impact?
Thank you. Second? Anybody?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. He doesn't need to spell his name, you got it. Gail?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Tell us a little bit about why you're here this evening, please.
I'm here tonight because I own the property at 87 New Boston. My family and I moved in there about 2.5 years ago. We did a lot of work to the property, and we recently moved out of the property, and our intention was to sell the property, put it in the market, and in the midst of that, our family members started going through some challenges and difficulty that made us reevaluate if we were going to sell the property due to the market. The property itself, it has about 55 square feet. The lower level, which is the basement level, is from the flooring to the ceiling, it's about 10 feet high. When we purchased it, there's 2 separate rooms in there, a living room, a kitchen, a bathroom. And that's when we reached out to the town and asked them what would it take for us to convert that bottom unit into officially a dwelling unit. And the inspector came and looked at the place with me and told me what needed to be done. There's a separate entrance to the basement that has 2 bifold doors, and there's also a window on the opposite side of the lower level, which is the basement level, which would need to be converted. If it got approved, it would need to be converted into a bigger window for an egress. So after consulting with the inspector, my wife and I decided that based on all the work that we did, it's important for us to keep it and to come here to ask the request of converting it into a duplex with the possibility of my in-law or my mother to potentially move in a lower level. And that's why I'm here tonight.
Does anybody on the board have questions?
That's on the corner of Bell Road?
Corner of Bell Road and New Boston Road.
Okay. Which driveway entrance do you use predominantly?
There's two entrance. One is, so when we purchased the building, we fenced the entire lot, and there's 2 entrances, one on New Boston Road and also another one on Bell Road. When we were living there, we predominantly used the one on Bell Road. I brought some pictures today to show you that there's 2 entrances that could be used to come in or to come out.
Jason, do you have any questions? Gail?
No, not yet.
There's nothing in the zoning ordinance that restricts the number of entrances and how, in the proximity. I thought there was.
It might be in the building code.
No, there's a lot of places that have 2 driveways. I hate to make the assumption that they're both permitted, but
Can I just add one thing?
sure.
We didn't do anything different to the structure of the previous, where it was prior to us purchasing it, in terms of the building itself, but also the structure of the driveway.
And I apologize, I wasn't applying that, but there are people who just add driveways, I think, and
Yeah.
not supposed to. So you're saying that you are going to be using the Bell Road access, or do you want to continue using both?
Doesn't really matter if whatever conditions you put, we would abide by. Like I said, I brought the photos to show the 2 entrances where it's all fenced in. I don't know if any of the photos that you have, it shows that. We do have a neighbor on Bell Road. That's the only house that's there. And when we lived there wasn't any issue with us using that entrance on Bell Road versus the New Boston Road.
You might also notice that there's 3 new duplexes going across the street, new construction right now. Right directly across from Bell Road. Dion Construction.
And it's a big house, too.
Huh?
It's a big house.
You have sewer and water, right?
We have water is town, and then the sewer is septic.
Okay. You'll have to do a new, did the building inspector say you'd have to do a new design for septic?
They did not.
You will.
You will, definitely.
There's no sewer, well, there is sewer out there because that new Woodland
Yeah,
project has sewer.
yeah.
They tied into water and sewer, would they need a variance?
No.
Because of the lot size?
I don't think it comes over the Bog Road,
Oh,
and I don't think it goes across Bog Brook, what, no, Whittlebrook.
Whittlebrook, good
It
job.
doesn't go, the sewer doesn't go past Middlebrook.
I don't have any more questions.
Nobody has any comments or questions? Okay. I'll ask you to sit down and see if there's anybody in the audience who has anything to say. Anybody in the audience has anything else to say? Okay, and if not, I'm going to close the public hearing unless you have something else to add. Okay, close the public hearing for deliberation. What are your thoughts?
Well, given the construction in the neighborhood, I don't think a two-family is,
Reasonable.
I think it's reasonable.
I think it's reasonable.
Okay.
And he realizes he's got some work to do to make it legal,
Mm-hmm. Well, you're right, and that's...
because it's in the basement. Well, I shouldn't say basement. I mean,
Lower
I have a
ground level.
basement-
Lower level.
I have a basement too in my house, but I walk out of it. So, he'll have some situations he has to deal with
Mhm.
beyond our control.
Correct. How about the double driveway, just making sure that they're at least both permitted? If not, then one we get shut down, or do you know?
No.
Doesn't matter to you?
A house that old probably didn't require a driveway permit
True.
when it was put in, period.
That's true.
And I'm not gonna force him to go
Okay.
get one now.
So, other than the work required to make it legal.
Gotta
and
meet
the-
code with the building department.
And the additional septic plan, or the updated septic plan.
Well, that's, here again, if it was a ADU, we might request it. If it was, you know,
Well, if it's a duplex, that doesn't matter.
let the building inspector deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a big house, it may have a large septic already.
Well,
I thought
they
you
haven't
said,
reduced the scale of septic design yet.
Yeah, that's true, but it's all correct, you're right there.
They haven't reached that point.
I thought you said last time that if it was a duplex, they required a second septic. Did I misunderstand that from the last?
I think you're right. That was stated. That's the difference
we-
between an
we did-
ADU and a
Right.
duplex.
Correct,
But that's a building code issue.
Okay,
yeah.
That's not our issue, it's a building code issue.
okay. All right, I would make a motion that pursuant to it meeting the legal requirements, that we grant the variance for,
Based on those stuff.
yeah, to convert a single-family home into a duplex, whereas the lot has .55 acres, whereas the zoning ordinance requires 1 acre of buildable area on the lot without both municipal sewer and water. Finding that it's not contrary to the public interest because it's a reasonable use for a very, very large home. The spirit of the ordinance is observed. I think that it really is, it fits into that area, especially because there's going to be duplexes across the street anyway. Granting the variance would do substantial justice. It'll allow them to more effectively use the property. Surrounding properties will not be diminished. They're not really changing anything appearance-wise that would make it stand out as being ridiculous. And if the ordinance is enforced, there would be hardship there. So I think that they would be okay.
Great.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
So many words to say. Yes.
I know. Okay,
I'll also
motion carries,
motion-
you have your,
I'll make a
Variance?
motion for the second variance.
okay.
Or are we gonna just proceed, or do we need to do that separately?
No, not that one, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the second variance required, as it will exceed the maximum number of dwelling units of one dwelling unit per buildable area. So we grant the variance to allow for them to convert to a duplex, finding that it's not contrary to the public interest. Again,
All the same?
all the same. Yes, thank you.
Nice and easy for you, Gil.
Thanks.
Do I have anybody to second that?
I'll second.
Discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Denied, okay. Motion carries. You're all set, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for that, Jason.
Go team.
Yeah. Jonathan and Judith Richardson, applicant owner, are seeking a variance to subdivide one lot with an existing home into one additional building lot with 101.8 feet of road frontage, whereas 200 is required. This concerns section 4.3, table of dimensional regulations of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The property is located at 66 Tenney Road, map 10, lot 8-1, zoned agricultural. This application was previously approved in August, I remember it, 2021, and has since expired. The owners are reapplying so that they may proceed with the planning board for subdivision approval.
I'll make a motion to find the application has no regional impact.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Good evening. If you could
Evening.
introduce yourself.
Mike Dahlberg, land surveyor. I prepared the plans. I am a close personal friend of the Richardsons. So we have been diligently pursuing our subdivision, the subdivision process. It was discovered that there was a very small wetlands at the foot of the hill with the 50-foot strip ends and the lot, the proposed lot opens up. It took us 6 months to get through the Wetlands Bureau
I get that.
because of a variety of things. Lack of help, maternity
6 months, you were
leaves,
lucky.
vacations, on that, whatever. And the final kicker was, I was on vacation in Charlotte, North Carolina in June, and I got COVID. I mean, I've never been so sick in my life. And by the time I was able to get back in to the swing of things and function, I submitted the plans to the planning board, and Patty's like, your variance expired. So to prove to you, we do have our dredge and fill, we do have our subdivision plan, subdivision approved, and the sheet 3 and the set is the driveway design to town standards with a turnaround at the end for the fire trucks. So we were diligently pursuing the variance. The result of the variance was for the subdivision, and we would just like to basically get that reapproved and continue. And I have a very detailed application that's exactly the same as what was approved almost 2 years ago. Just over 2 years ago. And I guess I'll...
Actually, you have the variance request from last time? I can't access it because the site's down.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Jack didn't give it to us.
It's right in the notice of decisions right here.
Oh, I didn't
From
see
last
that
time.
piece. All right, I take it back, Jack. Missed that
A
page.
lot of papers to read this week.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of papers. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for, I guess, the minutes. I actually had the,
Oh,
The minutes? I can find, do we know the month
August
of?
2021.
21, yeah.
early, because this was August 10th. You signed it.
Oh, I won't be able to, the site's down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I,
No, let me check my records. They won't be necessarily the approved version, but
I'm sorry to.
The answer to the question is, has a prior approval
Oh,
from
yeah,
this
no.
board.
Yes.
I'm well aware.
No question.
Right.
Um,
I remember this case.
I do believe it was
Clearly.
unanimous vote.
Yes, it was.
I don't have 2021. I have 20, 22, 23,
No worries.
at least not handy.
The issue here is road frontage.
Yeah. Somebody's just gonna have to come up with the words.
Oh, you just wanted to copy the last approval?
No.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant?
I don't.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add at this time?
I'd be glad to answer any questions that the board has, and I appreciate your volunteer time.
There is a little note here in our folder, notice of decision,
Yes, I saw that.
okay,
Yeah.
signed by Gail, so she can.
Yes.
I
remember
It was
the
signed
case.
for me.
I remember. Okay, I'm gonna ask anyways, anybody out there in the audience have anything to say about this applicant? Great. If you don't have anything further to add, we are gonna close the hearing.
I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Let's
you.
take a seat. I'm closing the public hearing for deliberation. Or motion.
Where did you say is the,
It's in the package,
Right
just
here,
before
Gail.
the site plan.
Right before the site plan. You can read that for a motion.
where'd you get?
Right? Pretty close to what we need to do.
Do you want to see it?
Yeah, I want to see what she's giving him
No,
to.
no, we didn't do
to
that.
read.
Right, now I have this.
Oh, that, yeah, I found that.
All right, I think I can do this. All right, I'll make a motion. Hang on, I gotta bring up the thing. Oh, hang on, I closed the staff review. I'll make a motion to grant the variance to subdivide one lot with an existing home into one additional building lot with 101.8 feet of road frontage, whereas 200 feet is required, at 66 Tenney Road, finding that it's not contrary to the public interest because nothing has changed since the previous approval. Spirit of ordinance is observed because nothing has changed since the previous approval. Let's just say all five are met because nothing changed from the previous approval.
I'll second.
Thank you, Gail. Any discussion?
Took me a minute to get there.
Good job.
yeah.
Any discussion? Okay, have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm not even gonna ask. Passed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
A lot of desk space needed when you're in that seat. huh?
You know. It's like I'm taking over.
Here,
So I better
just in
not
case you
keep
need
me
more.
up here. Okay, Ian and Elizabeth McGardy. Am I saying the word right? Thank you. Applicants, owners are seeking a variance to add 844 square foot additional lawn with a porch and a deck totaling 1,680 square feet to an existing single-family home that will be the closest point approximately 13.8 feet from the front property line, whereas 25 feet from the yard setback is required per section 4.3. Table of dimensional regulations of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The property is located at 11 Summer Street, map 3839, zoned residential 1.
I
Please.
motion the regional impact.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous. Hello, please state your names for the record. Anybody that's going to talk, so.
Oh, I'm Elizabeth McGarty.
I'm Ian McGarty.
And I'm Catherine Prescasa, I'm the architect.
Thank you. You all set with spelling? Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Tell us a little bit why you're here.
We're looking to add an addition and connect our existing house structure to the garage. We would be violating the ordinance requiring us to build a certain distance from the road. Our existing house already violates this by more than we're asking for. Like right now, we're about 14 feet from the front door to the road. We're looking to actually push it back farther.
Yeah. We just want to add that space.
They're actually 4.6 feet to the property line. 4 feet 6 inches from the front porch
From
to
the
the front
front
property.
Yeah, from the
property
steps to
line.
the front property.
Right, and so the existing garage is 10 feet 6 inches to the property line, and the front entry porch right now is 4 feet 6 inches to the property line. And we're proposing, based on the existing location of the garage and the existing location of the home, to set back the new entrance for the porch, the new entry porch, from 4.6 to 13.8 off the front property line, and the front wall of the front addition would be 21 feet 6 inches from the property line. So we're really rearranging the space and the entrance to the home so that it's off of the street. Right now, you walk down the stairs and there's no sidewalk, you walk right into the road. And you have to go from those steps into the road, in the driving lane of the road, into the garage. So it's really unsafe.
Okay.
And the lot was created over 100 years ago. It's in the village.
Pre-existing road.
Pre-cars, almost?
Yeah.
And the road's not in the center of the right-of-way either.
Correct.
Well, that makes it easy. huh?
Yep.
Anything else to add?
So what's the hardship with the property? You know, seriously, there's plenty of land there. So what's the hardship? What is the property hardship?
The hardship with the property is the existing structures are within the required 25-foot setback for the front yard setback. It's not an issue of lot coverage, it's an existing condition that the homes are located within the regulated setback. However, the other properties in the neighborhood are similarly located close to the front property lines. And the grandfather clause in section 14.4 says that if it is constructed prior to the zoning ordinance, that we're exempt from, the current structures are exempt from the requirements of the setbacks. And also there's another condition on table 4.3, section 6, that says the front yard shall be no less than the average of the existing building setbacks of the adjacent buildings within 300 feet. So that there's a mechanism built into the ordinance that says there are some neighborhoods that have this condition, and there's a mechanism for allowing the purposeful and meaningful use of the homes that are in this situation.
And the only home on the street that currently meets the setback is a recent construction within the past 6 years.
Any questions, any other questions for the applicant?
Good
Gail?
explanation, though.
Thanks.
It was very thorough. Any questions for the applicant?
Better than I
Jason?
could
I mean, just to be simple, it's just bridging the gap between the two buildings?
Exactly. And setting back.
And setting back.
Correct.
It's moving, so front here to there and then connecting the two.
I always
You
love
thinking
reading
about taking
our-
the existing front porch off?
No, we want to leave the front porch
It's 100 years old.
and connect.
Respect your
And
elders.
connect it to that.
But we wouldn't be using it
Don't
as
knock
our,
me.
we
But it wouldn't be the main
It wouldn't
entrance.
be the primary entrance anymore, yeah, it wouldn't.
So we'd like the primary entrance to be farther back, so that was just a secondary egress. So the kids didn't, like she said, jump out from the porch to the
So
road.
from the porch, you could put the steps on the end of the porch so that it didn't step out into the street.
Yeah, I mean, I can step into.
That's just a suggestion.
But also, Alan, to your
Slide.
point, there is something else about the structure of the basement. The structure of the basement goes under that porch, so it's not a matter of just taking that porch off. Because if we were to take off that porch, then water and drainage would become an issue in the existing structure of the home.
Still think you put the steps on the end of the porch, not into the street.
And we are
They
doing
are
that.
showing
And we
some.
are
They
doing
are
that.
showing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will be doing that to make it more safe. That's in the plan.
They just want the front steps, like, back in the day when you had your houses right by the road. People walked right up. I mean, it's, right?
Yeah, we're trying to get a little bit back, a little bit easier.
Jason, questions? Gail?
No.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, we appreciate your time.
No problem. Anybody in the audience would like to speak on this applicant? Okay, seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you for deliberation. I have to say, when I first saw the application, I was like, what? Then I opened it up and I went, oh,
I mean, I'm looking at
kind of a
the plans.
no-brainer.
If you drove by it, you'd say, oh my God.
And then looking at the plans, like, it looks like that, yeah, I think
Beautiful.
that's gonna be a great room.
It is, it is. And I like how they set back a little bit
Mm.
from both buildings.
Yeah.
I have no issue with that. Just my opinion. I am, thank you.
Looks like a good idea, maybe we should do something.
Anybody have a motion?
Alan just doesn't wanna deal with these 5 things.
I'll make a motion to
Thank you,
approve.
Gail.
Thanks, Gail.
I'll make a motion to approve. I was just reading the responses to the variance criteria, and I think they're very, I'm not gonna read every one of them, but I
No.
think they all very well fit into this.
So you're gonna base the approval instead of it
Yeah, on the
cutting
answer.
them down, you're just gonna say based
Yes,
on this?
based on, yes.
I'll second
works
that.
for me. You second, Jason? Thank you. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, back to this
Back.
other thing.
To
Back to-
deliberation.
Back to the future.
I gotta clear this stuff off.
Oh, Madam Chair,
Yes.
could we have another 3-minute break?
Yes, we will be taking a 3-minute break.
Be careful, she's watching her.
recording started. Okay, let's continue deliberation.
So,
Does anybody need to review? or-
Yeah, I just want to look at it real quick.
Okay.
I don't know that I wrote very much, but.
Okay, review your notes, please. If you have any.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't get very far. We talked about sound absorption. Alan brought up the 4 issues that he saw being visual. And
I have a thought when everyone's ready.
he's concerned for the split zone, mentioned defense. And that's as far as we got.
Okay.
So, I was thinking about this. I'm inclined to deny the variances written and requested and let them come back with something else. Because I don't think that it's a particularly good idea for this board to be putting us and the town in the middle of determining the resolution between the residential abutters and the commercial enterprise on their side. I think they need to come up with the specific variance requests. I don't think we should be adding stipulation and stipulation that may not be arguable by the residents. You know, we may say, okay, great, we don't want the sound to be more than 68 decibels. And the residents may have a problem with that. But because it's not in the variance and we're creating the stipulation, now there's no discussion from them to be able to have input on it. So I think we make them come back with a better written variance request and leave it at that.
So,
And I'm gonna add one other thing to that,
Sure.
sorry. Because, you know, Alan brought up possibly restricting them to 1 day a week. I don't think that's
Well, they're already claiming they do one.
Well,
one
right,
day.
but I don't think that's particularly fair to the residents to lose every Saturday in the summer.
I agree with that.
That's horrible. I mean,
Mhm.
I agree with them
To
that
the
they need
extent
to
that
be
they're
able.
saying it happens and,
Right,
you know.
and those things you would never know if you weren't there. You know, that's a problem that I have with that. So I would rather have them come back with a well-written variance request, because they said, oh, we're not gonna do what we put in our variance request. Well, that was the whole point of submitting it. Let's let them fix this. That's my take on it.
Well, my take on it is that I do believe it would be very contrary to the public interest and especially the neighbors, because they have been complaining about the noise for so long. And it's taken some drastic measures to get Circle to listen and kind of cooperate, and it was a long process with the select board. I did the minutes, I was there for, well, part of it, because part of it was probably in private, in non-public sessions, I don't know. But I do think it would be contrary to the public interest to make them, basically, they've got to deal with this every single Saturday night. And can't sleep, can't talk, can't hear, can't have company. That really restricts their own lives. So.
And the other part about this is that they know that 15.4 was cleared of a significant amount of large trees that would have, and always was, absorbing that sound. They knew that. Now those trees are gone and they own it. They could do something about that by putting trees back.
to
But that's
replace those
expensive.
trees,
Oh,
though,
that's
is
gonna be
not,
expensive.
it's not a feasible thing.
Right.
It'd take forever for them to
I
grow.
get your point with the noise, with the residents. There's no question about it. But if you're in a residential neighborhood and your neighbor is playing music every single night to 65 decibels, there's nothing you can do. And it
Correct.
may even be higher than that in the town
Right,
of
but it's-
Goffstown, it sounds like, because
Well,
it's
there's
not
no-
very clear. Where
Right.
we have the opportunity to tap it somewhere. Now, that's in a full-blown residential. I definitely agree they made a mistake in the variance application because they said they wanted to use the residential. I don't know if it was an error on their part because they stated here that they would not be using it. So we're talking about the commercial part of the property for live music and entertainment. That is what we're here to discuss.
Not even.
But that's not what's
Yeah,
written,
yeah.
and that's the problem I have with this.
I have a problem with it because no lot should be split zone,
Exactly.
period.
Yeah, but we can't fix
But that's
that.
not
So,
what
we
we're in right now. We are discussing a split zone lot,
No,
right?
no. Yes, we are.
Okay.
So,
The use of a split zone lot.
but they don't. They use it for other activities, that residential side, for their other business activities. Correct?
As storing items.
No, they have
and-
active.
And
act-
cornhole.
Well,
That's what they stated.
That's
they have active.
Pardon?
That's what they stated.
Yes, that is what they
have
stated.
active membership participation on the entire lot, period. There's no, in my opinion, there's no differentiation but how it's used. It's used as part of the club activities, period.
Yeah, I think the only way to get around that would be for them to put a fence across where the commercial and the residential side end.
It's basically nonsensical.
Yeah, I think that I would make a motion to deny this as written.
And one of the residents said that the decibels that she measured were up to 85.
Exactly.
And that's
It's
extreme.
ridiculous.
It's,
But we're saying that if we were to move forward, we would limit it. We would limit the sign. And who said, what's Manchester's? That they actually have a decibel.
They had, I think that one of the
I
residents there.
think 65, Portsmouth is 65 is pretty consistent.
Manchester noise ordinance only allows 55 in a residential area during the day and 65 at night.
So we're talking, this is a commercial zone
Yep.
with a couple of the residents in the commercial zone.
Okay,
I
but
mean,
there's...
we have to take that into consideration,
Well,
whether we
Well,
want
right,
to.
but we also need to look at the infringement into the rest of the residential zone. I mean, if they're hearing a quarter mile up the road,
No, she said she was not.
Well, she was a half mile up the road,
no,
one who said she
the
wasn't.
one with the
Okay, yeah.
dogs.
Yeah, she
And
said
that's
she
far,
wasn't
that's
here.
far enough. I mean,
Right.
that's far.
That is far, I
That's
agree
not
with
the,
that.
that's
I
not the
agree.
neighbors
Yeah.
that are...
I don't compare that to.
Oh,
the
no, no,
neighbors
no,
at
no,
all.
the lady with the rescue dogs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
Yeah,
said
she
she
said she was a
couldn't.
half a mile away.
Right.
So, to
Right,
me,
I
that's...
thought she said she was hearing it.
No, she said
didn't disturb her
Didn't disturb
dogs.
her.
it didn't disturb her
Oh,
dogs, is what
okay,
she said,
then
who were
I-
highly sensitive.
But I don't, I mean, that's not the
Misheard
same.
that, yeah.
You know, that's a long ways away. Hey, listen, I have to listen to the soccer games and I'm a mile away.
I also don't think...
Because I'm high.
I have the baseball.
Man,
I
I
get
couldn't
it.
believe
I
it.
was,
I hear
just gonna
music
say, do
from
you
the
all hear
ball
the football games from?
Oh, I hear everything.
But it's not that loud.
No, I just
Disruptive.
barely heard. I kind of went like, what is
I mean,
that? My
you know,
backyard?
I think there's also a big difference between community, like school sporting events at a high school
I was
and a rock
kidding.
concert in the in
Well,
the middle of town.
No, but it sounds to me, by reading the ordinance, in a commercial property, they are within the right.
But it's not a,
So this is the issue, it's the split zone. I mean, our job is to, right, put the law into place. And it's to allow this in the because it's a split zone, part residential.
well,
I mean,
technically,
anything bordering a commercial, industrial is a nightmare for us.
it's true. If you take and do a project that is on two lots that's separately zoned, one is like, say, a downtown and the next one is residential.
Mhm.
The residential is bigger, then it applies to the downtown lot if you want to do residential. And so you get bigger setbacks on that site and lesser density.
What's the law? So if you were gonna buy a piece of property with split zone, what is the law?
So that's.
So
interesting.
you're gonna buy a piece of property that has, it's part commercial and part residential.
Never buy it. I've never seen it happen, 50 years.
Oh, there's a couple that have been here before, and they are issues.
So
Down by 100 Bridge Road.
it's interesting that you asked that, because I've been trying to look at this, at the state
Mhm.
land use, and I can't find anything that actually addresses this. Of course, I'm not a zoning attorney either, but
Yeah.
There's nothing in the RSA?
not that I found.
Pulling out the box.
Unless they've changed it, I think there's probably a couple court cases hanging out there.
Again, I think if we stop and go back to what the variance is asking for though, that fixes a lot of this. Because then it puts it into perspective of people who do have to deal with this stuff on a regular basis. They'll write it properly, and then we'll have very
So
fixed
you're
things to look
asking,
at.
you're saying to,
The variance.
you're asking to deny without prejudice if they're gonna come back?
No, I would deny it because it's not, the variance they're asking for is not what they are presenting. Like, they want to use the whole thing, the way that it's written, the interpretation that I would make from it as a zoning person, right, is, where is this? They want, expand the use onto the residential 2 portion of lot 3. If they were coming and looking specifically at that, and that's what they were presenting, then okay, but that's not even what they presented. I would.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Okay. The zoning ordinance purpose, section 1.3, is to protect and promote the public safety, convenience, comfort, aesthetics, prosperity, health, and general welfare of the inhabitants of the town of Goffstown. I think by allowing that, we're not doing that with the residents that are nearby. Then it's about to secure from safety, fires, panic, explosion, and I don't think we have any of that to deal with. Light, air, privacy, and convenience of access, undue concentration of population, prevent overcrowding. Then it goes into transportation, natural resources, conserve property values by preventing the harmful encroachment of incompatible uses. And you've already got residents that have moved because the uses were incompatible.
Residents who lived in a commercial zone. This is my big issue.
No, residents that lived in the residential.
No, they-
Elmwood Ave is residential. That back corner is all residential.
The back corner, not the front corner.
Right, the only person that we
So-
heard from tonight was the one that lived across the street that's also in the split zone. That was not the person who had the pool and the kids and stuff. Those were all different people. I believe that the,
These 3 circled ones is who we heard from.
right, and there's only one that's in commercial.
Okay,
And
and then.
they were not the ones that were speaking majorly, the other 2 were. So-
And then, you know, I know possibly, I guess, maybe the criteria, if there were an approval, there could be some sort of wording to prevent this, but within their explanation for their request for the variance and how they meet the criteria, it says, by granting the variance to allow for use of the residential 2 portion of the property as part of the functions including outdoor music and entertainment. So they're not, this doesn't say, it's just.
I agree with that.
It's just.
It's just the commercial area.
It's not, right, it's not just the commercial area, it's not just cornhole. It's things, they could easily make things
Yeah,
spread.
I think,
But as stated here this evening, they said they would limit it. So,
right,
so we have the right to limit if we choose to. We also have the right for them to rewrite,
right, I
And
mean,
we also
come back
have
for a
the,
different type of variance.
we also have to consider a denial.
Yes,
That's what I'm,
I agree.
that's where I'm,
I,
that's where I'm
I
at.
think if we start layering stipulation on top of it, without really having any type of public input on that, we're doing injustice to the public. I think it could conceivably harm residents of the town of Goffstown if we did it that way. Just as much as somebody finding some kind of slip up in what we present would harm the Circle Club. It's entirely possible that that could happen in reverse. So I think if we make it, we deny this, that's just saying that, no, they can't use the property,
The residential portion.
expanding onto the residential two, but it's not saying that they can't come back and say, hey, we want to use only the commercial side. That's a different variance. And, you know, we would look at that differently. There's not, there wouldn't be prejudice on it because it's something completely different.
Completely different. Alan Sneddy.
And as,
You need to read 674-27.
674 what?
674-27.
Oh, which one's the newer book? Blue or
It's
red?
called commercial exceptions under the interim zoning ordinances. And
Oh, that's the older one.
I mean, we've got the same paragraph in our ordinance, basically. If you go down there to the second paragraph.
Okay, where are you at?
Roman numeral 1,
Yeah.
page 416.
Okay, got it.
No business, commercial, or industrial ventures or use shall be permitted which would cause any undue hazard to health, safety, or property values, which is offensive to the public because of noise, vibration, or whatever.
Mhm.
So there's a legal standard here for making some kind of decision. It's just like, this is, you know, making a declaration of putting an exception on approval is just like us saying, you gotta get an approved septic system for an ADU. It's the same thing. It's not listed in an ordinance anywhere.
Right.
So, we can take and, in my opinion, we can take and make any restriction on this,
oh, I know we
on this
could.
hearing.
But I don't think that if we did that, it would be fair to the residents, because now we're stating what these restrictions are in a contested environment.
That's what's being a judge is called.
We're not a judge.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are.
We are. And
Yes, we are.
Listen,
We're
I don't know which way I'm
quasi-judicial.
going, but-
We are considered
but
quasi-judicial.
The decibel, requiring a certain decibel at the property lines is a concession that from what we have in the ordinance in the town of Goffstown. You know, like I said, nobody's to stop somebody from playing a stereo
Right,
louder
but-
than 65 decibels and then you can't do anything, but we're gonna limit that.
Right, but we're not, we're also changing the variance. We have to take that variance, completely kind of throw it out, reword it and
We're just
say.
saying it's only in the commercial area.
Right, but
which
that's
is
not
what
what
they
they
presented.
But that's not what they requested.
Well, when people come here and they show us something and present something that's different than their writing.
Doesn't mean that what they
But
present
each case is
correct.
different. Each case is
Either.
different.
Right, exactly.
And I think this is one of those.
You think there's too many concessions?
There's too much here that we
So
have
there's-
to fool around with.
I think the question about the lot number 4 is immaterial to any discussion. If
Oh, I
the
agree.
place
Yeah,
is
I'm not
loaded with
considering
junk
that at all.
or trees or whatever, that's not our problem.
No.
So, it's really about the fact that they want to have music out there. And so, how can we regulate it to the maximum extent possible.
But
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
There is nothing stopping them from having music on the lot that they're currently, the first lot that their building is on. They can have outdoor music, correct?
Yes, they
In the
can.
parking lot, they could do it in the parking lot.
I'm just asking that
Yeah.
question.
But when you bring it over to the other lot,
Yeah?
you're bringing the,
Closer-
everything else closer to the
I
residential.
understand that. I do understand that. I personally don't like the direction of the stage. I do think it has an impact on where the noise goes and the vibration.
yeah,
And if you take that,
Can they-
just throwing these things around, you take moving that, you take limiting the decibels, I think that's gonna make a big difference to the residents. Maybe we hold off, go out there, try it. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
They're all finished playing outside.
there's nothing that says that they can't do that outside of this either, by approaching the residents and saying, hey, can we try doing this and see what you think?
They can't do anything right now.
Well, that's true.
They can't do
Actually,
anything.
yeah, I
They're
guess there
shut
is
down.
something that says
Right.
that they can.
Well, we don't know that, because we don't know what they,
Well,
Well,
we
they
do
were
not
told
know it because it
cease
wasn't
and
presented to
dismiss.
us.
Well, that's true.
well, true, but we can make an assumption that they're not playing music when they normally would. They're seeing it as in such a way that they have a cease and desist that they can't do it. So that's why they're looking for relief. So I don't think it's an
We
unreasonable
could hold the
assumption.
meeting till, that request that we get that information.
We
From the
could, but
selectmen?
at the same time, I would still have the same problem. We are changing the request. Not a little bit, we're significantly changing what they're asking for.
Two
And that's the
things.
problem that I
Two
have.
things, we have a problem of whether we think we're doing it right or wrong. Okay? Two things. One, it seems to me we have a document that's missing, that we'd like to see what was stated in the cease and desist. I have a problem with, I've seen cease and desist before. And they're arguable
Probably
in
not.
court.
It might be,
Yeah,
it might be.
I don't necessarily, I don't think that that has an impact to me. For me, it doesn't. Because I'm making a reasonable assumption that
Well,
they're
if
doing it.
you have a problem in making a sound decision, then maybe we need to get some professional advice.
No, I have, that's actually not the case. I don't feel that, for me, that has an impact on how I would make my decision.
Refresh my memory, the lot number, please.
15-3.
I don't wanna mess my papers up with these.
Oh. Alright, somebody get Denise another table.
You got Jack's building file?
Patty left this.
Patty?
This is old.
The Goffstown noise ordinance, noise prevention ordinance, also says the following acts, among others, are declared to be loud, disturbing, and unnecessary noises in violation of this chapter. And it includes the using, operating, or permitting to be played, used or operated any radio, receiving set, musical instrument, phonograph, or other machine or device for the producing or reproducing of sound in such manner as to disturb the peace, quiet, and comfort of the neighbors, inhabitants, or any time with louder volume than is necessary for the reasonable hearing for the person or persons who are in the room, vehicle, or chamber in which such machine or device is operated, and who are voluntary listeners thereto.
Is there a time for
By a
that?
lawyer.
I'm sorry, phonograph? How old is this thing?
I know, it's old,
Yeah.
it's old, but it hasn't been changed, so that's what we've got to go by.
Right.
It doesn't even have a date on it, maybe it does on the back where it's signed. 1997.
So I agree with you in principle, Denise, about the facing of the stage and stuff, because having worked with speakers and sound systems and stuff, how you point speakers make a huge difference as to where sound goes.
Yeah.
But I still think that we would have to change too much of the request in order to vote on it.
So would the speakers have to, where's my, would the speakers have to be changed? Let me find it. So that it doesn't go as far back as this other lot, the lot that they're looking to incorporate into their business, into lot 15-3.
The 15-4, the one that cut the trees?
Lot 3, they've been using since
Oh, I'm sorry.
2011 for outside music.
I mean,
It's in a statement on page, whatever.
Speaker technologies have changed a lot in even the short 12-year span there.
Yeah?
But I still think that there would be substantial change to that for music. And you were talking, bass from drums and whatever else. I don't know. I think like, I'm not gonna change my mind on that. I think we have to change too much in order to make this work.
It's no worse than being on Elm Street in Manchester and having someone blaring music with their windows down, driving up and down the street.
No, it's a lot worse because it's an open space.
Because you can't move from it. I mean, you're in your house.
Yeah, it's open space.
No,
So-
but the thing is, it's just as annoying.
Oh, no, I would say it's even more so.
Yeah.
If it was, when it was rocking my house, when I lived in Manchester, it was a huge, huge big deal to have a band playing facing my open backyard into that.
That's probably me.
No, it wasn't you. These, never mind. It would be me. No, I
Listen, we have a decision to make. The decision, I think, is going to be very simple. We either send them back, deny this, and say, come back and send us a variance for what you actually requested here, which I think, personally, I think it's a waste of time, because what you present here is what they ask for. But
them
that's
to-
okay, I understand that, because it also gives them opportunity to work with their abutters to see if they can come to terms with something that can appease everybody. Come back with that. It would not be a bad idea.
To deny their application,
They're asking to go into the residential.
I know that. And I lost my train of thought while I was waiting for you to
Sorry,
finish.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. To deny, if their application is denied, for them to come back, it has to be with a significant change to the plan.
Well, they don't really have a plan,
right.
Yeah.
so.
Well, then maybe
and
then you.
Maybe that's what we can request, is that they come marking up a site plan showing where the band's gonna be, where the stage is gonna be, where the
sound
speakers are gonna be
protection's gonna
facing, how they can prove that they're only gonna have 65 decibels.
Okay,
We're not telling them that's what they have to do.
okay, but
Right?
here's a good example. They have a permit right now for performances in 2021.
Yes,
But we don't know what that permit stated either.
just that.
We
I didn't have that.
We
when
don't
we
have
was
enough
talking about it.
information. That's even stated in their submission.
They were given that during COVID, is what I just read on that file.
And if they wanted us to have it, they should have brought it.
But they've
Yeah,
been called out on it, and that's why they're here today.
And
Because they would give it.
my concern is why did it wait until they were called out on it instead of responding to the neighbors' concerns?
I have no idea.
And that's not our purview, and I know that,
Well, I think it's, you
but
know,
it's an issue.
but I think the present owners are relatively new owners. A year, maybe?
I believe that's what they stated, but I
Um,
cannot be certain.
Well, actually, that was one of the things I wanted to remember to look up. Is
So
the
the
owner
text-
of the property the Circle Club?
Mhm. But it's always been that, it's just new owners.
Of the club?
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion.
Thank you.
I'm going to make a motion to deny the application, finding that it is contrary to the public interest with the impact that it has on the neighbors that are, especially those that are immediately surrounding. The spirit of the ordinance is not observed because of the impact that it has on the neighbors. Again, granting, everything is because of the impact that it's going to have on the neighbors. Granting the variance would not do substantial justice. They've had to deal with this for a long, long time. There's no promises that it's going to quit, even if they have their, whatever's on here, there's no guarantees that it's actually going to stop. And the property values, I think, would be diminished. The one resident or who purchased said she didn't know that that other people left because of it. And regarding hardship, I don't necessarily have a response on that one off the top of my head. But I don't believe they demonstrated hardship the way that the ordinance requires it to be demonstrated.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I would add is the
Oh, oops, sorry.
Okay.
And I'm going to also throw in there the fact of RSA 674-27 that Alan brought up and
Okay.
read to us.
Okay. Alan, any discussion?
I'll still second that.
I'm gonna vote no.
Well,
hang on.
I just have a comment to make on it. My comment is, it's a commercial piece of property. They can actually do what they're doing there. And when you buy a piece of property that's part commercial, part residential, I think the town sets up, having these split zones, an issue. They create issues for the abutters, and they create issues for the property owners. And I really do think that they need to eliminate these split zones in this town. Because this keeps coming up to us, and it is an issue, and there's abutters who are around that. And I understand their issue.
Are you referring especially to the fact that this one lot is split?
Yes.
Well,
Because they can legally do this on a commercial property. So, and I understand, and I understand the abutters, they're the ones that, are losing their peace and quiet at home, and I get that. But I look at it at a different point of view, that if you owned a piece of property, that you were allowed to do something within, if it's by law, you are allowed to do it. It's not us to determine what's within reason, it's the law, and it's the zoning. Should you be able to? But the issue that I have is they came in with an application stating they wanted to use the entire lot, including the residential. Not what they stated here that said only the commercial. Using only the commercial, I wouldn't have an issue with it. I would put stipulations. I'd put stipulations with the noise, the fencing, whether they can afford it or not isn't anybody's problem. That's what I would do.
And
So I have an issue just denying it, because for them to come back.
I don't for that very reason. They came in representing one thing, and then they say they're going to do something different. But what they've got on paper is different.
But
than what
we
they're
all know
saying.
what they represent here. We've always said that.
And it's
What's
true.
represented here
It's
is
true.
what the variance is for,
Yeah.
not what's in the paper.
I would just comment that I would feel that if they came back with a variance request that stated what they stated here, with hopefully a little bit more detail, but I would consider it vastly different from
Would
this.
that withstand the criteria, Gail, to reapply?
I don't know. I wouldn't know until I heard them here. And I wouldn't have an opinion on it until or unless I heard them here.
No, I'm saying, would they be allowed to apply for a new variance based on what they stated they do here, which is only use the commercial? Is that?
The only thing I
think if we
remember is
deny it
that
the
the
way-
application is supposed to be significantly different to come back,
Right.
once it's denied.
But I would say that doing what they suggested would be different than what they're requesting here.
I don't know what the law is
Is
gonna
it
use.
significantly
Is it
different, though?
significant?
Well, significantly is one of those
It's-
words like.
right.
Right, so you
What we-
could
I mean,
be
it's supposed
setting
to be,
them up
it's
that they
basically
can't come
supposed to
back.
be a different
Then-
plan. It's not supposed to be, just a little tweak here. It's supposed to be a different plan from the
Well,
way
if
I
we
Well,
understand it.
personally,
prejudice.
and I could be wrong, but my personal opinion is limiting everything to commercial versus spreading it out to the residential, which definitely affects the abutters far more, is a big difference. But I'm not the one that makes that decision if they were to come back.
Say that again?
If, right now, they're asking to use the commercial and the residential portion of that second lot. If they came back and said, we only want to use the commercial part of that lot, I consider that a substantial difference. Is it? Because if it's not,
To me, it's still bringing it much closer to the residential, to more residential. to the-
if they stay in the commercial,
Yeah,
but it's zoned commercial.
it is zone commercial.
So they have the right to do it in commercial.
But it's still bringing the nuisance that they're not, the noise nuisance that they're not supposed to
But can you
have.
stop something that's allowed in a zone? I don't think so.
The nuisance can be stopped.
The nuisance can be stopped exactly, but the criteria you have to follow. If you live in a commercial zone and you have a Dunkin' Donuts and you get that speaker talking all night long, it's a commercial piece of property. There's a volume that has to be set at. So it might be a nuisance to the people that live right close to it, but they have a right to do it because they own a piece of commercial property.
I agree they have a right, but they have not shown, with the decibels being as high as they've been.
Oh, I agree
with the-
100% with that.
It took a cease and desist order to get them.
So
to-
but we're not here to punish
No,
their
no,
their last
no,
behavior,
right.
past
No,
behavior.
no.
We can say, this is your restrictions on commercial property
Right.
only. I'm all about the residential portion of that lot. They bought that lot to use part of it. That's my feeling. You're right close to residential abutters, you're not gonna get a variance to use that part as
Well,
commercial, unless it gets zoned commercial.
Think about this. Is this an expansion of an existing use? Require a site plan approval?
Well, that's what they actually have as the second part of this variance request.
Is what?
So this is an accessory commercial use to the abutting private fraternal club, which is permitted by right in the commercial district. The expanded use,
Site plan
It
approval.
is.
the expanded use is permitted by right in the commercial portion of Lot 3, subject to site plan approval.
No, so they'd have to go to the planning board.
Yeah.
But
I'd go to
the
planning board.
variance is required
They
because
can't
of-
unless we let,
We don't have to grant them anything. You just said that they could do anything they're damn pleased.
well, I agree but the split zone is the issue.
See, because, no, they are looking for the variance from section 3.11B11 to allow for use of the residential 2 portion of the property.
That's the problem, is they
Right.
ask for residential and they're saying they don't need that.
Right.
So-
And so this says they're going to use it.
Right, but they said they're
And they
not.
are.
So they're contradicting themselves.
They are using it.
Oh, and I understand that, but, I mean, if they said they're not gonna use it, we can, I mean, we could put a fence.
I mean, we, if
Okay.
we really wanna go into it, we could say, okay, fine, we'll put the 65 decibel limit at the commercial line,
No, it's not a lot line.
with the commercial zone line.
No, it's not a lot line. That's,
No,
that's
it's not a
really-
lot line, but
No,
where
the commercial zone.
where the
It's- But they
commercial
own
zone
the
line.
property next to that. I mean, that's, you know, that's like
it would
somebody going in your,
eliminate the
halfway
butters.
in your yard and say, I don't wanna hear you from this point, you know, you can't. It's still their property, we're just not allowing them to push into the residential portion of it.
Well, okay, no, well, yeah, I mean, that brings up I think it's a splitting hair at that point.
Mhm.
I mean, it unfortunately, for that part of the discussion, we're kind of at a loss, because unless our council indicates that there is a law in the state that says 2/3 of or the majority of the property is residential, therefore it is governed by the residential zone, that would be helpful, but
What if it came back the opposite?
then fine, now we have something to work with. I mean, we could table this until we hear back from council.
Can we get a vote on the motion?
Sure, I don't think anybody seconded it.
Jason did.
Jason
I
seconded?
did second.
Can you repeat your motion, please, quickly? Sorry.
I made a motion to deny the application, finding that it is contrary to the public interest, spirit of the ordinance is not observed, granting the variance would not do substantial justice, and surrounding property values would be diminished. And then also adding in RSA 674-27 noise, about the noise ordinance, that, where is it? It would, because it would or could cause undue hazard to health, safety, or property value, or which is offensive to the public because of noise, vibration, excessive traffic, and it goes on with some other things, or for any reason in accordance with New Hampshire RSA 674-27, and that it moves the activities closer to the abutting residents.
And Jason seconded.
I'm still good with the second.
Okay.
I
Okay, all in favor to deny?
Aye.
No,
Opposed? Opposed.
opposed?
And I am opposing strictly because of what was presented here that they said they would do, and that's all I can go by. Can't go by what we think they're gonna do, or I'm going by what they said is what we can hold them accountable for. So that's why I'm denying it, the only reason.
So, given that it's 2-2 and the motion fails,
Yeah.
I would then say, well, I would be more comfortable if we heard an opinion as to how we have to address this split zone issue. Because I think, based on that vote, half of us are on the residential side and half are on the commercial side. We're not gonna come to a consensus on that.
Can we, how are we gonna handle this, Gail? Where we have a split vote, and when
Okay,
neither
then
one
we-
I'll
cares
make a
the
new
way-
motion.
That's the next step, is make a
Okay,
new
thank
motion
you.
and see if it passes.
I'll make a motion to approve. Based upon, let me get my notes. Saturdays only from the months of May through September. That the sound level not exceed 65 dB at the property lines. And they provide a visual barrier along the residential property lines. 8 foot tall.
Are you saying anything about the zone, limited to the commercial zone?
Nope. I'm treated they can use that site for anything they want.
Okay, you want the barrier around all the property lines?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I won't second that with it not, the music and the entertainment. I'm not talking about cornhole. People, everybody does it in their backyard. I'm talking about the noise the stage,
Noise
the
generating
people, yes.
function.
Limited to commercial, which is where it's allowed, per zoning.
No, I won't modify it.
I will second.
Huh?
I will not second.
I won't either. So that goes nowhere.
Unless Gail wants to second.
No.
That motion fails.
Anybody else have a motion? Do you think we can get through this?
Okay, if we're not going to come to a consensus where we have 3 in favor of anything,
Correct.
then the next step would be, I believe, to continue it until we have a full board. Len could be back next month, maybe
Judy would be here.
Judy would be here next month, so we'd have a full board so that it's a chance to get a consensus.
Okay. Which is gonna be tough, because, they're not gonna have a whole hearing. But
No,
let me
but
ask you a
the-
question if we can do something.
Well, it could be kind of like a rehearing.
Okay.
I think it becomes a rehearing where everybody gets to present their cases again,
Yeah.
both the butters
Right.
and the
Right.
applicant.
Can we, I don't know if this is possible, deny without prejudice for them to come back with an updated application based on what they told us here that they were going to do?
They can amend it by the time, if they want, they can amend their application if they want to.
Okay.
In the time that it would take to have the
I don't know
rehearing.
if there's timeframes by which it needs to be submitted.
Well, see, that's the other problem.
They had
This
all,
is the time
they're
frames.
not in the music business right now, so we get some time.
Well, isn't there rules though on hearing itself? I think that's what you were talking about, right?
Well, there's timeframes by which they have to get the application to the zoning board or to the zoning office, to staff, so that they can review it and get it with the package and send out notices to the abutters, because, if it was guaranteed that it would be next month, that's a different story. This would be considered notice. But if they're late, or if,
Well, we could pick the date 2 meetings from now, giving them plenty of time.
and then,
And then they don't have to re-notice the abutters.
No, I
Well-
think we have to.
I wouldn't bypass that,
Okay.
no, because,
because we don't know if we heard from everybody, a butter.
But they have the
I
right to
think-
be watching us right now.
I think our best bet would be to continue it. And then we can have a couple of things. First, we can help me get that clarification,
Because I'm really stuck on this whole split zone thing.
If, for instance, they're not here tonight,
Hmm.
and they haven't heard this presentation or the application, I don't believe they can vote on it.
No.
Just to say you read the minutes of the meeting, I don't think is adequate.
I don't think so.
no, it would be like
would
a
be-
whole new hearing, a
Yeah, it
whole
would
new
be a
application.
rehearing.
It would be starting fresh, as far as I understand it to be anyway.
Is that what the
Right.
continuing process does though?
Sorry.
The continuing process make it a rehearing? We could reopen the public session and then go back to whatever
Well,
that was,
it's-
so.
No,
We're
because
gonna have to.
with,
open up
with a full 5-member board, hopefully, or 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, at least 5 or maybe 6 of us. Since 2 have been absent, I guess that would have to be the zoning board's request, is that it become a full hearing.
Does
Rehearing.
that cause problems with that time thing? That's the because, yeah, there's requirements for them to get stuff in, but I think there's requirements for us to respond.
There's,
Or with a
the only
decision.
thing they have to bring back in is if they want to change things. Because all they have to do is, in this meeting, we can say the next meeting is going to be next meeting. And that is enough notice. We've always done that. If a meeting's extended
We could
to
also
the
ask,
next meeting, it's,
we could also, Len and Judy still have their packets.
yes.
They could still review the videos so that they're aware of what happened, even if they don't have an opportunity to ask questions. They could reserve their questions for the continued hearing.
Correct. And
I
it's
will
pretty
not-
much a
And I
rehearing.
will not be here in November.
So, Alan,
I know.
If I'm physically not here, I'll dial in, so that won't be a problem.
I am away on vacation.
I know where you're going.
I'm going for a walk in the woods.
okay,
Yeah.
it's 10 o'clock and
Yes.
we're beating a dead horse.
We are.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do? I need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, no, what are we doing? We gotta.
Second, no.
No,
we have
we
to
need
vote on
to
it.
figure out what we're doing with this case. And I need it, so we can all vote for it.
We will continue, I'm gonna make a motion that we continue this application until our November meeting, because
Okay.
that's our next meeting. And, see, how do I word it? Because we're not gonna continue just deliberations either.
I think,
And reopen
Reopen public
reopen
session.
the hearing. Make a motion to continue
To the next
application.
meeting and
but are we
reopen the hearing.
fixing the issue of just the commercial doing this?
Well, I still. think
Because you're
that
still gonna say that there's
I'm
too many
still gonna go back
stipulations. I mean,
to-
I just don't wanna be doing this again.
I'm still gonna go back to the town administrator and ask for some clarification on that. Because
Derek's a good one to get
Yes.
input from. He used to be the zoning code
Yes.
and
enforcement
if he
officer.
can't give us the answer, then he
I'm
has
saying
access to the people.
You
who
need to
can.
go beyond him.
No, possibly.
Should we ask for legal?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why don't we do that?
All right, so we're
Why
gonna
don't we
make a
do that?
motion to continue the public hearing pending submission of a request for legal counsel input. And
Any further clarification from the petitioner?
No, because
No,
then
I
you have to
think-
open it up to everybody. If you ask him, if they
Yeah,
get to
but-
speak, then the abutters get to speak, and it's another whole meeting.
But if the applicant is here this evening, and he is, I suspect that they will go back and have a discussion about what they really want to do, I hope.
I think they left.
yeah, they might be watching on TV.
Okay.
But if-
I would be comfortable with that because.
Okay, pending submission of a request for legal counsel input, continue the public hearing until the November meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, to a date certain or to a date uncertain?
Well, if it's a date
To a
uncertain.
date uncertain,
If it's to a date uncertain, they're gonna have to notify abutters again.
that's fine.
Okay.
That's 8 of them. The reason I say that is, we may not have a chance to meet with council unless it's
No, you're
prior
right,
to the
you're right,
meeting,
you're right.
or whatever.
Yeah, it's gonna take time.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so just motion to continue the public hearing. Are we continu, no, this isn't a public hearing.
No.
This is the deliberations.
Well, no.
But we're gonna open it
Yeah,
back
we're-
up to
we're
the
good.
public.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily, depending
The
on what
attorney's
legal
not gonna
tells
talk
us.
to the public.
No.
Right.
He's gonna talk with us. Or he's gonna just talk with the town administrator who will pass it along to us. Doesn't mean that we'll actually meet with the town
So
attorney.
we're not looking for, okay.
We're gonna ask the town administrator to get us input
On the
from
split
legal,
zone.
Yeah.
on this, right.
It's basically the split zone. Is that the question we all have?
The-
How we treat split zones?
Correct. And
Not me.
Okay, what's your question?
I don't really have a question.
Okay.
I don't see my opinion changing.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't, I guess my mind's open, but
Yeah.
I don't need to hear anything about the split zones where, so that's where I question if the applicant, well, if it's just the deliberations, then the applicant's not gonna come back anyway with
I
it.
think you could ask an attorney for is there any opinions or court decisions
True.
out there that rule on split zone sites? We're not unique in any way.
Oh, I'm sure we're not.
No, because if it is considered, if they say that portion is considered commercial, they don't need a variance.
No.
They only need a variance because am I
Yeah.
wrong? That's, I mean, they said they're permitted
Yeah.
in the commercial district.
Yeah, if, I would
So we
think,
can't change the laws, we can just implement them.
right, and
It's because this is split and so nobody will make a decision above us.
I'm just saying that because it's a split zone, we are unable to make a decision.
Yes, that,
Period.
exactly.
Until we get a ruling on how the split zone should be treated.
You know, you might have something there only because their variance request here is to allow for use of the residential 2 portion of the property.
Right. So I think that's the issue. If they would if we find by an attorney saying that part of the lot is commercial, I don't think there's anything you can do.
Okay, so based upon the application of what they asked for.
Well, that's different. But that's not what they presented.
But they still
No,
have
but-
to meet all the other variance criteria, which I don't believe they meet.
No, but I'm saying if the attorney, and be careful
Right.
with this. The attorney says that portion of the lot is commercial, you treat it commercial, they don't need a variance.
Correct.
They can play the music.
wait,
And now, we can't restrict it.
No, but the thing is, they're still bound by the sound ordinance.
Exactly.
right,
But that has nothing to do with us.
right.
Correct.
How can they use, I mean, the lot is 2 different zones.
That's why that's the question. The question is the portion of the lot that is zoned commercial, do they have the right to treat that as commercial? Do they have the right?
No, that's not what I thought you were saying.
So if they have the right to use that portion of their land as commercial, they do not need a variance for this.
That is correct.
Now, if they say, well, it's kind of a mess, which is, it is a mess, I agree, and they say, we don't really know, now they need a variance. Not really, they have to say no.
Well,
No, you treat it as residential.
so,
Then they need a variance.
so,
That's
so
a whole
I
different
guess,
ballgame.
I guess what I thought you were saying was kind of a combination of what Alan said before, which is, I was kind of under the assumption that, okay, if it comes down to whichever is bigger,
But we don't know.
right?
We don't know
But the
that.
inverse could be true too. They could say, well, half of it's commercial, that one's less restricted, that becomes the thing, and it's
Well,
all
We don't know.
commercial.
Where right now, I mean, I'm just throwing things out, and I know we're
It
beating a
comes
dead
back
horse
to
here, and
how
I'm
we
getting
can treat
tired.
it.
Yes.
But if
time to
we
go home.
don't, if legal says you need to treat that as commercial, we're done. It doesn't come back here. If we make decisions tonight, we can restrict it.
But they
Because
need
of
to
the
know
variance.
that the applicant stated in his request that he's asking to be able to expand the use of its property onto the residential
Right.
2 portion of lot 3.
I agree with that, but I want to know what the law is for that portion of his land.
Just the portion of lot 3 that is
Commercial.
commercial.
Again, he doesn't need a variance. If they say you treat that as
If he
commercial.
stays in that zone.
Yeah, he doesn't have to come back. And
I
that
agree.
can be not necessarily a great thing
But the thing is,
for the abutters.
Well, right,
Because
because
now we're not gonna be able to put a 65 decibel.
let me tell you, I have a case in Nashua right now, a split zone site. And the ruling was the larger portion ruled.
Right, well, and that's kind of what I was thinking, okay, if that was how that was interpreted, then, okay, then it's residential.
That is
But
correct.
what I thought Denise was saying was that they could come back and say it's commercial.
You're all rolled up.
The
in a
whole
roll.
thing is commercial.
No,
I mean,
they're not
that's-
gonna do that. But they could say, you need to treat the commercial portion, commercial.
Right, and then it comes.
So are we all, did we second this so we can get out of here?
No, there's no second.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. So all in favor for seeking legal counsel for clarification on how we handle a split zone and will reconvene at a later date for final deliberation if necessary.
And any further opinion they have on what we've discussed
Yes,
tonight.
Yeah.
that's a good
Yes.
idea, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yes, I would concur with that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you for your time.
Second.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep your eye out.
Well, they'll have to get noticed again.
You'll have to be
Yeah, well-
noticed. Sorry, I know you spent a lot of time here this evening and we didn't resolve anything. It is complicated.
One,
But we appreciate you coming in.
Am I clear that we
Wait,
will
can we
be
hold
able
on for
to
just
present-
one second?
Oh, Can we present at the next date?
I'm not 100% certain.
We're
Be
gonna
honest
wait and
with
see
you.
what the attorney says.
Okay, because then
And
it might be a no, and like a.
What I would do if I were you, if you are, you could call if you get notified.
Okay,
Somebody
Well,
does something here.
well, I'm gonna be here either way.
Well,
Okay.
I think
I'll
we would,
second.
I'll
I
look
think
it up.
that
I'll look it
also
up.
look at, read the notice carefully, because the notice could say that we're continuing deliberations
I found
versus,
this at.
public
underneath the
hearing.
seat.
Oh, what
Excuse
is
me, I
it?
didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
that's
that's okay.
Somebody's ID.
It'll say
Oh.
in the notice that
It's
we
sitting
won't be able
underneath
to
the
see
seat.
Okay,
it,
thank you.
right?
Let's see if they have
well,
enough
it won't say you
number.
can
Thank you.
speak,
All right,
it'll
hold-
say it's a
hold on
public
for a
hearing.
minute.
If
I
it's a
will
public
second Gail's
hearing,
motion to adjourn.
Well, oh, meeting adjourned.
we already did. I already did that.